Hello, big up, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for coming through. Peace to everyone in the chat. Sorry, just running a little behind today. Um, just wait for Mr. Pelu to come through, and yeah, we can start this next installment of reading the book called "The Common Ground Between Buddhism and Islam." So, I'll go ahead and try to find my part. Big up, Mr. Pelu. Good evening.
Big up, everybody. Good evening. Good evening.
Hey, how's it going? Good.
It's going great. It's going great. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Appreciate you. Sorry for the wait.
Yeah, that's my bad. It's a little.
Yeah, it's okay. Sorry for the wait, y'all. As long as we say sorry to the fans, our fans our fans are good people. We're good people. Our watchers
Yeah,
our watchers are good people. We
five
we we,
minutes
we
is not bad. Not bad. Not
yeah,
bad.
we done.
Okay, we did the
Yeah.
acknowledgments. We're on the first
Hold on,
chapter.
wait, before we start, let me talk a little before we start. Before, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
go for it.
yeah. Everybody, thanks for coming out. This is the third installment of our reading of Common Ground between Islam and Buddhism. Is a great book. It makes a lot of controversial points, and we don't claim to hold to the points made, all the points made in the book. We're using this book as a reading and as a tool for us to foster ethical humanitarian discourse. So we're talking about it. This is the field of comparative religion, and we want to know if comparative religion is useful to humanity in our dealings with each other, and hopefully it'll foster more and more talk and understanding between people of different religions, especially Abrahamic religions and Dharmic religions. And so yes, thanks for coming out. I want to give a special shout out to Dr. Sheena Mason. She's here. Hey, everybody subscribe to Dr. Sheena. I usually don't call people out because I don't want to miss anybody. I see everybody. I see people in the chat. Everybody, I love everybody in the chat. But the only reason I want to give her a special shout out 'cause she's part of the Facts Chamber team, and she subscribe to her. She has a lot of good videos, and she has like the recent stuff are good, but also her past stuff. I love your wig videos and your makeup videos. You look beautiful in them. That's what I say. Yes, yes. I'll get shout out to Dr. Sheena shout out to Dr. Sheena for that. But everybody else, shout out everybody else. I don't want to miss anybody, but shout out everybody. Okay.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you for everyone for coming through. Um, I'm honestly trying to. I knew I should have bookmarked our spot. Did I do?
Yeah. Let me find where we was at. We were yeah, we should got that. We should have got that
Setting the
that
scene
stuff.
without.
We'll be with you in a second, everybody. Yeah, we're gonna remember exactly where we was at.
Okay, I remember this vis-a-vis thing. We went through that. I remember that. Um, I think we were somewhere right around here, like maybe
Face.
to speak of orthodoxy calls for the following. Um, actually, give me 1 second. Sorry, my tea kettle's on. 1 second.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna go look at the I'm gonna go look at where we were at.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm back. Is this where we were at? Right? I think this is the.
Yeah. I don't even know. I'm gonna go to I'm gonna go to where we were. I'm gonna go to where we were last time. We were at Well, hold on. Let me tell you where. Okay, here.
Oh, that's right. We could like check on the end of the last stream, right?
To speak of Orthodox, yeah, to speak of Orthodoxy, like to speak
Yeah,
of
exactly.
Orthodoxy.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, that's where we'll go.
All
We'll go to
right.
speak.
Perfect.
And hold on. And yeah, okay, speak. Okay, okay. I see that. We like to be at the speak of that. Cause we did that. I remember that part. Yeah. Okay. Okay. To transition the Dharma identical with absolute truth, reality, recognition of this is conceptual. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So we'll.
All right. You want to start there?
You ready? You gonna read?
Yeah. Okay. All right. To speak of orthodoxy calls for the following. No. Okay. Now. I'm sorry. So we were at a part, just continuing off from last time. We felt like the author was kind of rambling on about maybe trying to make a disclaimer, and this is kind of where we were at. So, all right. To speak of orthodoxy calls for the following remark. The definition of orthodoxy in Islam derives not from some magisterium, but from Quran and prophetic Sunnah. The question of who and who is not orthodox in terms of these two sources is resolved by the consensus of the learned, al ulama, in any given period. In our times, Muslim orthodoxy has received its broadest ever definition, thanks to the collective fatwa of the leading scholars of Islam issued in Imam in July 2005. This fatwa recognized 8 schools of law as being orthodox. The 4 Sunni schools, Hanafi, Shafi, Maliki, and Hanbali, the 2 principal Shia schools, Jafari and Zaidi, and the Ibadi and Zahiri schools.
Hey, for everybody, the Biden school is also known as Hal Haqqa Istakama. Hal Haqqa Istakama mean the people of the reality. That's Al Haq, and then Istakama means integrity. That is a particular school of thought that I'm part of in Islam. Just for the record, I am from Al Haqqa Istakama, also known as Ibadi. Just that's
Mm,
for everybody to know. And he just called. I'm aware of the spot. So I'm aware it's called a man declarations. And I had seen it, and like all like the muftis and the main scholars from every country had had signed on to it, and it was just a call for Islamic solidarity and unity. Is the Iman document. I mean the
mm.
Iman thing, and maybe later on we'll bring it on. We'll bring it on. We go look it up later on, and we could go exactly what's in the Amman conference. And yeah, but it's a good thing for us to know about the a man conference and what it meant.
Okay. When we address Buddhism, however, we're compelled to acknowledge that there is no analogous, clearly definable normative tradition of dogmatic, damn, I'm sorry everybody, apologize,
Dogmatic,
dogmatically, okay, of
dogmatic.
dogmatically defined orthodoxy. Even referring to Buddhism as a religion compared to monotheist religions is problematic. Yeah, okay. Buddhism more more a network of spiritual schools of thought and praxis than a unified religion. The numerous branches not only differing widely on the level of doctrine and rituals, but also occasionally engaging in considerable mutual ostracism.
So
Well,
that
I
so hold on.
don't know.
But to be honest with you though, yeah, ostracism means to ostracize, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So because ostracize means to set apart. But I'm gonna tell you what though. even if you were to judge Buddhism like that, you would have to be able to, you would have to judge the Islamosphere like that too, because we have mutual altruism between us too. You understand what I'm saying? The same amount
Right.
of divisions is there in the Al Qibla. Al Qibla means all the people who profess to be Muslims. That's the Qibla referring to the Qibla that we all go, we all pray towards being the Mash'al al Haram in Mecca where the Kaaba is, and then that's our Qibla. But the people of the Qibla, there was a lot of divisions between the people of the Qibla. I'm not saying it's exact same type of divisions, but these things are comparable as I mean, I think these things are comparable. Making an analysis declaration that Buddhism is a religion, or even an assertion, or even a notion that Buddhism religion is definitely by comparing it to Islam in these sense of divisions. I mean, there's no difference. So they both can be called religion. I mean, they both have similarities. They both seem to have similarities that we classify as similarities in religion, or similarities of doctrines constituting religions.
Yeah, 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 I believe that. Okay. All Buddhist schools are, however, united on the fundamental teachings of the Buddha as expressed in the Pali Canon. For this reason, we have tried to engage with this body of teachings as much as possible, in addition to addressing some perspectives expressed in later schools, which more clearly manifest similarities with Islamic doctrine. All right, so yeah, I just don't. I've never heard of branches ostracizing other branches, but maybe there's something in history.
Yeah,
I don't know.
there might be. I mean, I know in Islam
Yeah.
there's ostracizing, because with
Oh
ostracizing,
yeah.
it's just basically saying takfir, or saying people are heretics. I mean,
Yeah. Right.
takfirism is in the Islamic world, so we can't. So takfirism will be ostracizing. So I'm just trying to say that the similarities in format uh, um can lead to the inference that they share the classification of a religion, because we have
Yeah.
that format too, and there's so many different things going on with that format. So the same thing could happen in the Buddhist format. But I still think that Buddhism, from reading this or from the evidence shown, Buddhism still is a format that can be called a religion. The same way Islam is a format that be called a religion, and it's not to say the religions are any way similar or the same, or theologically or theologically congruent. It just means that they have a form of being that we could both call religion.
Mm. Yeah, I hear you. I agree with that. All right. Even though we have restricted our reflections to a few principles within a few of the Buddhist traditions, given our own scholarly limitations, we are nonetheless addressing the main schools of thought within Buddhism and invite all of them to engage in this dialogue. The two principal branches of this tradition, the Theravada, Way of Elders, and Mahayana, Greater Vehicle, this latter comprising such schools as the Madhyamaka, Middle Path, founded by Nagarjuna in 2nd century CE, Yogacara, founded by the brothers Asanga and Vasubandhu in 4th, 5th century CE, the Chinese Chan school, founded by Bodhidharma, migrating from India to China, the late 5th century CE. This is the basis of the Zen school in Japan, the Pure Land school, again rooted in Indian Mahayana texts, but articulated in China as the Qingsu Sung school, and in Japan as Jodoshin. And finally, the traditions of Vajrayana, Adamantine way, also known as Tantric Buddhism, which is found its principal flowering in Tibet, known also in Japan as Shingon.
So
So
let me ask
yeah,
you this. So in Japan, a lot of so Japan has a tantric Buddhist community as well.
Japan is more like I said, like when Buddhism split out, like it picked up a lot of like cultural, you know what I'm saying? So like,
No, no, no.
so
What I'm saying is that the Japan. I'm not saying does Japan have tantric Buddhism the way that the one in is it somehow do they have the same school of thought? I'm not saying everybody does it right, but is there a community that has the same school of thought as the Tibetans?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think that's why like anyone who practices Vajrayana, wherever they may be, that's like Tibetan tantric, you know. So like, at Mahayanas, like they could be anywhere, but it's like, you know, if they're practicing that kind, then that's what they're kind of going after. So I don't know. Like there may be Vajrayana Buddhists in Japan,
Yeah,
possibly.
there
Yeah,
might
I
be
don't.
some Vajrayana, but it might be a different type of Vajrayana because their Vajrayana
I
might
mean,
be
there's some
Shingon,
over
but it could
here.
both be
There's Tibetan
tantric.
Buddhists over here. Like you know, a
Okay, yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
them.
And it's
Yeah,
people not even Tibetan who practice Tibetan Buddhism over here, right?
yeah. Just like
Okay.
mad people practice Zen and learn Zen. Like,
Yeah, there
yeah.
might be people learn Tibetan in Japan. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it
Oh
might be
yeah,
the
I'm
same thing happening
sure.
in
I'm
Japan.
sure. Yeah. Okay. This list is not intended to be exhaustive. It merely highlights some of the main schools within Buddhism to which reference will be made here. So yeah, I agree with all that. It is our hope that in the light of these affinities, the adherents of each religion might come to appreciate more deeply the value of the religion of the other and to place the profound differences between their traditions within a context defined by mutual respect. It might help Muslims to see Buddhism as a true religion or deen, and Buddhists to see Islam as an authentic dharma. The mutual recognition alone is of immense benefit and can only reinforce the kind of harmony which is so much more easily attained on the level of ethics and morality.
Now, that's very controversial. Like I would say
Yeah.
that because you don't have to equate them in their own terms to be what they are. It was with it still have mutual. Cause see, look, the last part, right? This mutual recognition alone is of immense benefit and can only reinforce the kind of harmony which is so much more easily attained on the level of ethics and morality. So why do we need to go past the level of ethics and morality? Can't we just study the religions as being systems of ethics and morality, and let the dharmic religions be the dharmic religion, and let Dina al Islam be Dina al Islam? It's like to me it seems like an unnecessary conflation. It can still be compared without unnecessary conflations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it seems like they're like kind of forcing it a little too much. Like
Yeah, they're
it's
forcing it.
okay to be separate. Like it's okay to see yours as your dean and ours as our dharma. Like you don't have to like see it as a dean to respect the people and understand that there's similarities. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
it's reaching. Yeah, yeah.
It's reaching like crazy. It's a lot of reaching. A
Yeah.
lot of reaching.
Yeah.
Reaching hard.
But we
Reaching
get
hard.
this. So yeah, we're just reading the book. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So a glance at
Now,
history.
now,
Oh,
the reason why, because I want the audience to also understand what we're reading, because they might not get it. Because I know we get in it, but I want to make sure the audience can understand what's going on, and what does it mean for discourse that people
mm,
are writing this way. You know what I'm saying?
right. Okay. Throughout Islamic history, Buddhists, together with Hindus and Zoroastrians, not to mention other religious groups, were regarded by Muslims not as pagans, polytheists, or atheists, but as followers of an authentic religion, and thus to be granted the official dhimmi status. That
Hello,
is,
hello, hello. Hey, I want to stop you
yeah,
real quick. The reason why I want to stop you is because this is important. I want you to go back again, but um um I want you to go back, because this is the issue, right? Just because you're given dhimmi status does not mean that, it does not make a judgment on religion as not being polytheistic, atheistic, or anything like that. It doesn't mean that. All it means is that we see you as a religious community or a milat, and we see you as being able to govern yourselves in your internal matters, because like our system, not to be as hard as possible. Our system is dawah. We're not. It's not by force. We need to assimilate you. We have our means of assimilation, and that's demi. It's not always. The Dawah of Islam is not supposed to be an aggressive thing. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be a hospitable thing, and so we let you be you. You know what I'm saying? That's dima, right? But dima doesn't go past. It doesn't mean that we endorse your religion. It doesn't mean that we say it's okay, that is not polytheistic, that is not shirk, that is not kufr, that is not dalal meaning heretical, that is not blasphemous. It doesn't mean all that. He's taking demon to mean way more than it really does. You understand?
yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? And see, because I
yeah.
agree with it. We look, Islam can look at Buddhism as dima. That's absolutely a fact. It can, and it did, and it should. It should look it should look at Buddhism as dima, and I know Islam to look at Buddhism as dima, as aladima. But aladima is his own thing. Let aladima be his own thing, and stuff. And I think he's erroneously adding to what, to aladima, to dima.
Mhm. All right, I see. Okay, so all right, they were thus to be granted official dhimmi status. That is, they were to be granted official protection by the state authorities. Any violation of their religious, social, or legal rights was subject to the censure, dhimma, of the Muslim authorities, who were charged with the protection of these rights.
Yeah, I mean that's what I said. I mean the
So,
dima, the dima, but the Buddhist can be seen as dima, but it can't be seen as but he tried to make dima more than what it was. Like it was in
yeah.
like it's saying Islam endorses the religions just because they give them dima. Dima is not an endorsement; it's an acceptance of your existence, but not necessarily an endorsement.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Accepting doesn't necessarily mean agreeing.
right, right.
Or not necessarily
Wow.
accepting, or tolerating doesn't necessarily mean it's a toleration. Dima is a toleration. You know what I'm saying? Toleration doesn't necessarily mean agreeing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I
Just because you
definitely
tolerate,
understand.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's making it more. He's making Dima more than what it was, more than what it is.
Mm, all right. It is instructive to glance at the roots of this Muslim appraisal of the religio-juridical status of Buddhism. One of the earliest and most decisive encounters between Islam and Buddhism on the soil of India took place during the short but successful campaign of the young Umayyad general Muhammad Qasim in Sindh, launched in 711. During the conquest of this predominantly Buddhist province, he received petitions from the indigenous Buddhists and Hindus in the important city of Brahmanabad regarding the restoration of their temples and upholding of their religious rights generally. He consulted his superior, the governor of Kufa, Hajjaj B. Yusuf, who in turn consulted his religious scholars. The result of these deliberations was the formulation of an official position which was to set a decisive precedent of religious tolerance for the ensuing centuries of Muslim rule in India. Hajjaj wrote to Muhammad bin Qasim a letter which was translated into what became known as the Brahmanabad settlement. The request of the chiefs of Brahmanabad about the building of Buddha and other temples and toleration in religious matters is just and reasonable. I do not see what further rights we cannot have over them beyond the usual tax. They have paid homage to us and have undertaken to pay the fixed jizya tribute to the caliph. Because they have become dhimmis, we have no right whatsoever to interfere in their lives and property. Do permit them to follow their own religion, and nobody should prevent them. The Arab historian al-Baladuri, I'm sorry, you guys, if I'm butchering these
Don't worry about
Arabic
it.
names, like no disrespect, bro. Like honestly, all right. Quotes Muhammad bin Qasim's famous statement made at Al-Lur, Arabized as Al-Rur, a city besieged for a week, then taken without force. According to strict terms, there was to be no bloodshed, and the Buddhist faith would not be opposed. Muhammad bin Qasim was reported to have said, "The temples al-Bud," but referring to the temples of the Buddhists and the Hindus as well as the Jains, "shall be treated by us as if they were churches of the Christians, synagogues of the Jews, and fire temples of the Magians." Magians?
The Magians. The Magians are also called
Magians?
the Magians are also called Zoroastrians.
Oh, okay.
The Magians and Zoroastrians, because a Magi is a Zoroastrian priest. A Zoroastrian priest is called a Magi. The Magian. That's where we get the
Okay.
Magian religion. And then even legend has it that the Magi's went to Jesus when he was born. The
Yeah,
Magi's,
yeah. There was three of them.
there were three Magi's. The Magi's were
Three
Zoroastrian.
wise men. Yeah.
Yeah, but they really meant the word is really, and even in the original Greek is really Magi, meaning Zoroastrian.
Okay.
It was Zoroastrian priest. And that's another religion. And I'm gonna tell you the importance about Zoroastrian, right? Because Zoroastrian was always given dima, but not necessarily given ala kitab. So just because you be given dima doesn't mean ala kitab. So basically, what I'm trying to say is dima is its own thing. People try to equate dima to other things. They try to equate dima to ala kitab. They try to equate dima to the saying is a true din or anything more than a milat. They try to attribute more to dima than what dima is. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
So yeah, so that's the thing, and it's good to mention the Zoroastrian because it shows that there was different types of people that were included in Dima. It wasn't just Al Kitab, and it wasn't just people that were supposedly monotheistic. It wasn't just people that who do Tawhid. It wasn't just Tawhid. It was anybody that we could see that had a certain tradition to govern themselves with, and we're given a space to handle their own affairs because we don't. There's no compulsion in our religion, and our first thing is harmony. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we have the toleration of dima for harmony between different people. You know, because we know we can't force everything. We know we can't force things. There's only God who chooses who he wants to choose for his causes. So that's the issue. So let's go and sort of re-emphasize that part.
okay. It is thus not surprising to read in the same historian's work that when Muhammad bin Qasim died, the people of India wept at his death and made an image of him at Kiraj. Although subsequent Muslim rulers varied in their degree of fidelity to this precedent establishing the principle of religious tolerance in India, the point being made here is more theological than political. What is to be stressed is that Buddhists were, in principle, to be granted the same religious and legal recognition as fellow monotheists, the Jews and the Christians, or the people of the book. The implication of this act of recognition is clear. The, the religion these Buddhists followed was not analogous to the pagan polytheistic religions, whose adherents were not granted such privileges. Rather, as a community akin to the people of the book, they were regarded implicitly, if not explicitly, as recipients of an authentic divine revelation.
And this is false. That's definitely false. That's definitely
Yeah.
error. That's definitely an error. It's a huge error. Huge. I mean, I don't know everything. I don't know everything. So let's see how he backs it up. Let's say he backs it up. But from my first reading this, from what I understand about the religion of Islam, I would have to say that's a huge error he's making. It's a huge error he's making. This author right now.
Yeah, I don't know if Buddhists like were ever considered people of the book. Like,
Yeah, he said analogous to people of the book. He said analogous to people of the book, and or akin to people of the books, and regarded implicitly, if not explicitly, as recipients of divine revelation. That is not necessarily the case. That's not necessarily the case. You know what I'm saying? I
mm,
mean, you might be able to you see, he's stretching. He's stretching. Because if you stretch, you might be able to sort of say that, but you have to super stretch. Ah.
hmm
'Cause, because look, because you would have to say, because look, we know that there's prophets all around. We know that, right? We know there's more
mm,
prophets than besides the Abrahamic prophets, right? We know that. We know there's a lot of different messengers and rasuls and things that have come to mankind. We know that the God has been filling mankind with signs since Adam. You understand? So, um, um, if we think Buddhism has some of this light shine upon it, is not far to say that some light don't shine upon Buddhism. But isn't this but for him to say as recipients of authentic divine religion, that's not necessarily the case. Islam thinks of itself as the original one divine religion, and the only people who's supposed to be able to make those claims are the people of Islam. So you have to say that Buddhism is an Islam derived religion in its primordial, most pristine sense. But then you would have to. There's a lot of stretches you would have to make. Let's see if you can defend it. Let's see if you can defend it. Let's see.
mm. Yeah, because I don't even
And,
think.
and the other issue is this: just because we give you Dima again, it doesn't make you all what I think he's what he's presenting it to be. Because you
Mm,
can be a pagan and still be given Dima if it's expedient for the Muslims to do so. Because the Muslims know they can't just fight everybody. We can't just force everybody. If we conquer a place and the majority of people are pagan and they have a strong pagan traditions that we can't just break, you know what I'm trying to say? We're not gonna be, and if we try to force it, we'll lose the state. We'll give them Dima to keep the state. We definitely
right.
will. You know what I'm saying? Oh, willing to suspend jizya to keep the state if the conditions call for it, because even in time of Umar, jizya was suspended in times of famine and great poverty. But we still kept them as dima, even though we didn't even give them the jizya. And that's because the dima is a tool, is a tactic. It's not necessarily we accept you. It's a toleration. He's making it as an acceptance. No, it doesn't mean all that. It doesn't mean a toleration. It means we're patient. We can put up with something. That's all it means. You know what I'm saying? It says
Right,
we'll be
right.
patient with you. It don't
Yeah.
mean that we accept what you're doing as being from authentic being authentic revelation. But I'm not saying we as Muslims can't say that those that authentic revelation can never have made it way into Buddhism. We definitely think it could, because of course God gives so many signs and all this stuff to people. But is the way that he's making Dima out to be? He's making Dima out to be something way more than it is. And as long as he keeps on that trajectory, I'm always going to say that he's coming from a point of error.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, let's see what he's got. It may be argued, however, that granting Buddhist legal recognition was in fact more political than theological, that the instinctive response of Hajjaj and his generals stemmed more from hard headed pragmatism than subtle theological reflection.
And that's a lot too. I told you it's a tool of expediency, it's a toleration. And for the record, I'm not necessarily endorsing Hajjaj. I'm looking more to Hajjaj because I'm not a big Umayyad fan. But let me see what Hajjaj did. But
Mm.
anyway, Muslim in general will give you the jizya. We can do that because I mean not jizya. We'll give you the dima because even that was the policy of Umar even with the Zoroastrians who we did not consider the people of the book. If you look at the strongest interpretation of what people of the book is, we still gave the Zoroastrians dima. So just because we give you dima, just because we give you dima does not mean that when and it's more than that. Yeah, just because we give you dima does not mean it's we accept you as a, 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 as a savable religion. You know what I'm trying to say? I mean, don't be wrong. God is Ar-Rahman Rahim. We know God is Ar-Rahman Rahim, meaning the merciful, the forgiving. You know what I'm saying? From the what does Rahman meaning mercy, right? So we know God is full of mercy, but it's something He doesn't forgive. He say the two things He doesn't forgive, the two things that you won't forgive, you die with is one is shirk, that means associating partners with God or any type of detraction from His majesty, and then second, sparing in His mercy. You should never lose faith in His mercy because His mercy is everything. Without His mercy, you have nothing. So if you don't have His mercy and you die without His mercy, you're doomed. You're doomed to the hellfire because that's what you need.
Mm.
So yeah, He's out of him. But that's the reason why we give toleration, but it doesn't mean we accept everything. We tolerate everything because we don't know everything, and we know God works in ways we don't even know He worked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All
let's keep
right.
going.
While such pragmatism no doubt played a role in his historic decision, the point to be made is this: the scholars of Islam did not and still do not regard this pragmatic policy as violating or compromising any fundamental theological principle of Islam. Again, okay.
No, no,
Pragmatism.
no. Where we at right now? Hold on. Okay, no. He's right about that part because it's pragmatic. He said what? He said the He said the okay. Where we at? The
Here.
You said where we at? Oh,
I'm
okay.
here.
Yeah, you
Oh,
said the what? The scholars. Wait, where you at? Okay, the implication, the recognition. The where were you at?
while such pragmatism no doubt played a role in his
Okay, I'm sorry.
historic decision, the point to be made is this: that the scholars of Islam did not, and they still don't, regard this pragmatic policy as violating or compromising any fundamental theological
Of
principles.
Islam. No. It's right though. It's right though. We don't see. No. That part is right. That's one of the few things you right said in this for the last couple paragraphs. That's one of the few good things he said. No, pragmatic just means practical. Like it's practical and practical and useful. Practical,
Mm,
useful, utilitarian, right? Yes. Dima is a practical, useful. Is a reflection of reality. Dima is a sadaka, is a charity, is a reflection. But sadaka also has the root word meaning truth. So it's a reflection of reality. It's not necessarily. It's not necessarily. It's not necessarily. So yeah, we know the necessity of 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 um of um of toleration. So it's pragmatic. So in no way does toleration basically is no way we don't find anything wrong with leaning or erring towards the side of toleration because God Himself is tolerant of us. You understand?
mm,
That's why He's Arak Minor Rahim. So that's the way we're gonna err. Let's err in loving His mercy. You know what I'm saying? Let's know that His mercy is always there. So just because we give you these things and we using these tools, it doesn't mean we agree with you. It's just a leniency. It's a mercy for us to even have this tool. Is a mercy from God, and we should be grateful for the mercies of God. I mean, giving us a tool to use and dealing with people outside of our faith community or the Milats of Abraham the Anifa, the Abraham the monotheistic community to deal with them. He gave us his tool to deal with people even outside of our of our religious theological order.
okay.
Hey, I want to answer the question from Why So Religious. Why So Religious is talking. He said
Uh,
he said He said a funny statement. He said this author is practicing yoga daily to stress his smart. Yeah, he said
Yeah.
the author's practice. No, it's a good joke. It's a good joke. Yeah, everybody's so religious. It's a good joke.
Yeah, he's reaching. He's reaching.
Yeah, it's a lot of reaching going on. Yeah, a lot of reaching going on. And I
All
want to answer one more thing. He said Buddhists have never been considered Zoroastrian. I never said Buddha was considered Zoroastrian. I'm just comparing the situation of Dima with
right.
Zoroastrians. That they were given Dima the way Zoroastrians were giving them. I'm not saying that they're the same religion, but they're in the same classification of being of giving toleration as Dimi. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So pragmatism and principle went hand in hand. The implication of granting Buddhists legal recognition, political protection, and religious tolerance is that the spiritual path and moral code of the Buddhist faith derive from an authentic revelation of God. But
That's a
no,
huge stretch.
it
Huge stretch.
doesn't. It
It's a huge
doesn't.
stretch. I mean, he's stretching like crazy. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's a way you could sort of
We
say
don't
that,
though. Like
but
no, we can't. Our faith is not a revelation from God. No one ever says it is. Buddha
exactly.
himself never said it was.
So he can't say that. See, he can't say that.
No.
So he
This
can't
is a
sort of say he's over.
huge
No,
this
no,
is a
you're right.
huge yeah, like
It's a
okay.
huge mistake. The only way we could say something even similar, I'm gonna tell you what we could say might is similar that it might have gotten some signs of God. It might have been read into it, but that's the most you can kind of say. But you're right. He's
Yeah.
stretching. This is an overstretch. It's an overstretch because Buddhism itself doesn't claim it doesn't require itself. It doesn't require theism in and of itself. You know what I'm saying? It
Right,
doesn't
right.
acquire if it doesn't acquire, it doesn't require the affirmation of God's reality. It cannot be said to be seen by Muslims as an authentic revelation from God. Just
Mm-mm.
off the bat of that, just off that alone. You
Right,
understand?
right.
Just off that alone, you don't even affirm the reality of God. If you don't even affirm the reality of God, we can't say this thing is something coming from God or have been
No,
something coming
of
from
course
God.
not.
Literally, so we can't say that because it doesn't even claim it doesn't even affirm God in reality.
Right, right. Well, it first reality, but not God. So, all right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if
it doesn't refer yeah, exactly. It doesn't affirm God in reality, but that's where the issue comes in. Is like saying what is an authentic revelation from God? Do you have to personalize God? See that's where the debate
yeah,
comes in. Is like
yeah,
how far do we? What's the difference between the unpersonalized? If we considering God the person of reality, don't some people might argue then, and this is the part where I see where he can kind of stretch. Maybe I'm not saying he can do it, but I'm saying maybe he might be able to say, okay, Buddhism still believes in ultimate reality, even though they didn't personalize it as God. If we looking at the ultimate reality as God, how we see it as an Abrahamic sense, as personalized as the ultimate reality, we're both talking about the same concept. So we could say that the concepts came from God. That's the only way he could kind of stretch it. But then that's still a stretch. It's still a big stretch, though. It's a huge stretch. But
yeah,
I mean, that's why we're here. That's why we're here
yeah.
to discuss. Is this stretch? Can this stretch be made? I
All
mean,
right.
I don't
Let's.
know. It's a lot of stretching. Let's see
Yeah.
how he tries to weave it together. Let's see how he tries to weave this together. Yeah, it's like a
All
yoga.
right. Yeah.
Let's see if he can do it. Let's see. He might do it. He might
I
do it.
don't know. I don't know.
I can't count him out. I can't count him out. Let's go. Let's see if he
All
can do
right.
it. I can't count.
If this be disputed by Muslims, then the historical practice of granting Buddhist dhimmi status will be seen to be nothing more than realpolitik at best. I don't know what that means. Realpolitik?
Real politics means practical politics, something that you have to do because, and be honest with you though, it is real politics. It is real politics, but see, he's making it seem like we against real politics. We're really objective people. We're objective. Islam is an objective religion. We
Okay.
we we, we
Or,
want objectivity.
mm, all right, at best, or a betrayal of certain theological principles. At worst, one would be guilty of according religious legitimacy to a false religion. We would argue, on the contrary, that Buddhists were recognized in an, as it were, existential, intuitive, largely unarticulated manner by Muslims as followers of an authentic faith, even if this faith appeared to contradict Islam in certain major respects. That the early Muslims, in their encounters with Buddhism, observed sufficient family resemblance between Buddhism and the people of the book for them to feel justified in extending to Buddhists the same legal and religious rights granted to the people of the book. That the pragmatic decision of the politicians and generals was actually in harmony with the Islamic revelation,
Wow,
despite.
this is a huge stretch he's making. Wow, he's
All
making
right, so
huge
let's
stretches. Huge stretches, huge. Because look,
try that they were recognized.
because first of all, people in the book have a different legal recognition than the Aladima. Even though they fall within the Aladima, there's special categories in the Aladima because you can marry from the people of the book, but you can't necessarily marry a Buddhist Islamically legally.
Right, right.
So it's two different orders of things. So it's a huge stretch he's making a crazy, crazy, crazy stretch, and we're not against robotics. See, I mean, it's not Dima is not giving legitimacy to the religion as a true religion.
Right, right. It's just
What Dima
covering the
is
people.
tolerating the reality of their religious existence.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I
That's
hear
what it
you.
is. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? To tolerating doesn't mean agreeing. He's making huge stretches,
Yeah,
huge, huge.
yeah. All right. Despite the reservations, refutations, or denunciations stemming from popular Muslim prejudice, and despite the paucity of scholarly works by Muslims making doctrinally explicit what was implied in granting of dhimmi status to Buddhists. So people were against that, I guess. What he's saying, I wouldn't
Yeah,
expect them
I
to.
mean, some
I
people
wouldn't
might have been against it.
expect
Some people
that.
might have been against it, but we gave it to them. What I'm trying to say is
Yeah,
that he's making stretches like crazy, and he don't have to make these stretches because if you just leave it at Demi, you can study them as a religion, and then you can see the real connections. You know what I'm trying to say? But he's making connections that are not necessarily there. He's stretching to make false connections. He's building a connection that's not real.
yeah.
And it could be real connections if he just wants to limit himself to reality of the
Mm.
reality of Dini. But he's trying to make he's trying to he's doing too he's adding too much innovation to what a Demi is.
He's doing too much.
He's
He's
doing too
doing
much.
too. He's doing too much. Hold on, I want to grab my tea real quick. What's that?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, well, everybody's here. Yeah, yeah, he's doing too much. Everybody, if anybody have questions, put your questions up. Say something, everybody. Talk to us, chat. Talk to us, chat. We
Yeah,
here. Say something. Talk to us. We here for you. Watch the religious talk. Johnny John not here.
I know. I don't know. I posted it in the thing.
Yeah, I
Usually he's
called him
here.
out because the people who talk a lot. Everybody talk a Dookie talk. Machina, Dr. Sheena talk. You
Yeah,
know,
big
Dark Knight talk. Dark Knight
up.
talk. Stay you Bronx talk. Gertie talk. They talk Gertie.
Big up, Gertie. Big up.
Talk
All
Sonny.
right.
That's about it. Hope I didn't miss nobody. Patab talk. Hope I didn't miss nobody. Dookie and Gain. See, that's why I hate. That's the reason I hate calling out because then I feel bad if I miss anybody. So I be trying to call out. Stu Bronx says Stu Bronx already here. Okay, but I got everybody that made a comment in the chat. Yeah, Sheena Mason. Yeah, Sheena. Okay.
All right. Cool. So it would be useful to explore further the implications of this early Muslim response to Buddhism, and to provide a more explicit theological or spiritual justification for this response, which formed the basis of the official party of tolerance of Buddhism by Muslims world policy, sorry, which formed the basis of the official policy of tolerance of Buddhism by Muslims worldwide. The consequences for dialogue will be self-evident. If Buddhists are recognized as akin to people of the book, then they are implicitly to be included in the spectrum of saved communities, as expressed in the following verse, one of the most universal verses of the Quran. Truly, those who believe in those who are Jews and the Christians and the Sabians, whoever believes in God and the last day and performs virtuous acts for such, their reward is with their Lord. No fear or grief will befall them. 2.62 repeated almost verbatim at 5.69.
Okay, what he's saying, the Quran is true, but what he's saying isn't true. He's adding a bunch of stuff to what it is. It doesn't mean that people of the book. It doesn't mean that everybody and people of the book are saved. It just says it's of the people of the book. You understand? Look, the saved people are these, right? Everyone, the saved people are everyone except the polytheists, the disbeliever amongst the people of the book, the hypocrites among and the hypocrites amongst the Muslims. You understand? So it's like even people who are Muslims are not necessarily saved. If they're nominal Muslim not necessarily saved. Yet alone Jews and Christians. So it doesn't give you. You're not saved by being Jewish. I mean, not Jewish. I mean, I said you're not saved by being a Buddhist. Buddhist. You're not saved by being
Right,
Buddhist.
right.
You're saved by doing what? By believing in God, Iman,
Yeah, no, I
and
get that.
and that's how we believe in God. That's the one God, the only God, and affirming His reality, believing in God in the last day, the day of judgment, because we have to be accountable for everything we do, and performs virtuous act. You know what I'm trying to say? That's dawah. That's enjoining. That's encouraging what is good and forbidding what is bad. Right?
Mhm.
Perform virtuous acts. For such, their reward is with their Lord, and no fear or grief will befall them. Yes, for those is al Jannah. For those are, I mean, for those is for those it's paradise. For those people, it's paradise. But those are the climate of paradise. Being being a Jew, a Christian, or Sabian is not what makes you saved. Is the faith, the last day, the acts is those that make you saved. Is your piousness that makes you saved. You know what I'm saying? It's not the title of these religions. So this author is getting it really wrong, and he's using the Quran really wrong
Mhm.
in interpretation. To my estimate, in my humble assessment, he's definitely super stretching. It's erroneous, and it's really he's making error. He's going into error. He's going into error in his stretching. In his mudarat, we
Mhm.
call it mudarat sometimes in his management of stuff. They call it mudarat. The word is sometimes we use mudarat. He's gone into error in mudarat in his
All right. Well, I
management.
think he discusses it in the next thing, so let's see what he says. So, one of our aims in this essay is to make explicit that which in large part has hitherto
Yeah,
remained
hitherto.
implicit.
Yeah,
If
hitherto. For the time being. Up until now. It means like up until
okay,
now.
if Buddhists, like Jews, Christians, and Sabians, are to be treated as people of the book and thus placed within the sphere of those believers mentioned in this verse, it should be possible for Muslims to recognize Buddhist doctrines as expressing no, like no,
That's a big stretch in
no,
history. That's a huge
no.
stretch. I can't read that.
Believe
I
in
can't
God
read
in the
it.
last day. No, no. And to recognize the acts prescribed by Buddhism as virtuous acts. Now, yes, this part, yes. Indeed, in light of the verses cited above, it should be possible to demonstrate that the essence of the Buddhist message is at one with the immutable and unique message of all the messengers. And we sent no messenger before you, but we inspired him, saying, there is no God but me, so worship me. Now, Buddha did not bring this message.
Exactly. I'll be like, what the?
Did not
I mean,
bring a
that's the
message of
biggest stretch
one
in the
God.
world because you have to at
Right.
least affirm God. To say all this stuff, the religion has to make it clear as day that it affirms God in reality.
Right, right, right. Now, I
And
said
so
reality,
this
yes, but not God. Like,
not
this
God
is
in
the,
reality.
you're missing that, like, crucial kind of part right there.
God, that you can't say it's
it's a God. It's like saying it's a God affirming religion that never affirmed God.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be a God affirming religion that never affirmed God. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You just can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It never affirm God, whatever from what God in reality. I'm not saying it doesn't affirm reality. I'm saying it doesn't affirm God in reality. It doesn't personalize reality to the absolute God that made everything.
Right. Right.
So it's making it. And think about it though, there's real things you could really come. The thing about it, just in our talks so far, and in just our talks even offline in our preps and in preparations and everything we had, I've
Mm-hmm.
learned so much true connections between Islam and Buddhism. And the thing about it that they're all real connections, just as being religions and philosophical connections that we can really talk about for ethical humanitarian discourse, right? But he's making a
Right.
huge theological stretches that doesn't that are
Yeah.
beyond that are be that are that are that we have to say are that I have to say I find completely erroneous. He's making theological stretches to the point of error. He definitely is, like way to the point of error, so but and the thing about it that is so much that they do have in common as religions that we could learn philosophically that I mean it's a better conversation to have, but it's good that we're reading it because a lot of the better conversation to have can be brought into the conversation.
Right. Okay.
Hey, go back to the part where um uh, uh, um
Oh, okay. I'm up. I'm right here. So, indeed, in light of the verses cited above, it should be possible. Okay, that the
no 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 No, we're not there. You had the part of the virtuous acts, right? And then you
mm,
meet the messenger said, and we sent no messenger. You was reading that verse. That was the verse you left out. Just go back to, and we sent no messenger.
okay to dem. Is that one of all the messages? And we sent no messenger before you, but we. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
Saying,
what you said.
all right. This verse confirms the uniqueness of the message. Nothing is said to you, Muhammad, but what was said unto the messengers before you. If it cannot be shown that the essence of the Buddha's message is at one with that of the message of the Quran, it might be possible, at least, to demonstrate that it is like it. And if they believe in the like of that which ye believe, then they are rightly guided.
That's still a
Right.
stretch. I mean, there's a likeness, but that's not the likeness. It's like he's still stretching. He's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
stretching like crazy.
All right. So he says,
I
if
mean,
even
the
this,
stretch he made just now was not the worst stretch, but it's still a
yeah,
stretch. Mhm.
okay. So he says, even if this cannot be done, then one is deprived of much of the religio legal ground or the spiritual logic of the conventional Muslim practice of granting dhimmi status to Buddhists.
No, he's not. The demon status has his own merit, has his own thing. That's the thing. It has its own thing. Anyway,
For this status must imply that, unlike man made paganism, the religious practice by them, or at least was, an authentic one revealed by God.
nope. He's
Yeah,
overestimating what he's
yeah,
overdoing what a demi is. And the thing
yeah.
about it, Dima is so rich a concept. It's so rich
Mm,
a concept that we don't need to add. You know what I'm trying to say? We don't need to innovate to get it because we're missing the real beauty of Dima. Because Dima is making us see religion outside of even theology, but as a practical philosophy that we can all talk about together. You know what I'm saying?
hmm.
So there was wisdom in the Dima status. We can have conversation transcending theology because we don't even have to have a comparable theology to say that we're both religions and we're both philosophical, ethical instructions from mankind to gain wisdom from. You understand? So it's
Hmm.
almost like the stretch is taken away from the real accessible and attainable common ground. I think so. The stretching is doing that. We're missing the real ground.
Right. All right. Let us also note that there is, in the juristic tradition, a lively debate about whether those communities whom the dhimmi status was granted should also be regarded as al-Kitab in the full sense. The great jurist al-Shafi, founder of one of the four schools of law in Sunni Islam, asserted that the Quranic references to the scriptures of Abraham and Moses and the scriptures of the ancients, Zubair
Yeah, that means the Psalms.
al-Awwalin.
Awali means yeah, the Awali means those who came before. So it means the Psalms of those who came before. Zabur means Psalms.
Okay. Can be used as the basis for arguing that God revealed scriptures other than those specifically mentioned in the Quran. He concludes that Zoroastrians, for example, can also be included in the category of al-Kitab and not treated only as protected community al-Adima.
Well, I disagree with that. If that's what Shafi says, I totally disagree with Shafi. I know Allah Police Kama does not agree with that. I know my school, Ibadi's Allah Police Kama definitely does not agree with that. If Shafi says that, then I don't know, because Shafi said that. And I doubt the other Sunni schools probably say that neither, because he would have said all of them said it, because it might be just one opinion. Shafi, I don't even know if that's the strongest opinion. Shafi, it might be the strongest opinion. Shafi, I don't know, but I know that as a whole, that opinion is weak in Islam. It's extremely weak in Islam.
Mm,
I'm not saying it's impossible, because I'm not here to make a permanent judgment. I'm not here to make a permanent judgment of everything. But from my understanding, um, that's a weak ruling. It's a super weak ruling.
okay, Quranic premises of dialogue. Our approach to interfaith dialogue is based explicitly on the following key Quranic verses regarding dialogue. O mankind, truly we have created you male and female and made you nations and tribes that you may know one another. 49:13. And of his signs is the creation of the heaven and the earth and the differences of your languages and colors. Indeed, here are signs for those who know. 30:22. Call unto the way of the Lord with wisdom and fair exhortation, and hold discourse with them in the finest manner.
Yeah, hold on.
16:25.
Yeah, 1625. Okay, yeah. These are great verses, and good that he put these verses, right? But
Mm,
hold on. I just want to go to chat real quick, because we have to show love to our people, and they have some comments for us, and let's address it. Why so religious says Mr. Pelu made a claim I would disagree with. The concept of dhimmi is that they are monotheistic, and that is why Muslims may marry them, but dhimmi males cannot marry a Muslim woman. No, that's not dhimmi. That's al kitab. It's a difference between al kitab and dhimmi. That's what I would have to say. Okay, that's the reason. It's a difference between al kitab, because it's not necessarily when we think they're fully monotheistic, is that they affirm God in reality, but they might not have a perfect affirmation. But we give them credit for being rooted in the Abrahamic tradition or from the Abrahamic tradition. But that's al kitab. That's not necessarily dhimmi. Dhimmi and kitab are commonly misconstrued, because dhimmi al kitab falls within dhimmi, but not all dhimmi is al kitab, and that's the point I'm trying to make. So that's not right. That's not right. We are the only one who makes that mistake. A lot of people make that mistake, and he tried to say Shafi tried to conflate them together. If Shafi did, that's him. But I know that's. I highly doubt that's opinion throughout the Sunni world, and it's definitely not opinion in the Halakha Sakama. Say that for a fact, right? And I know, and I know, and I suspect it's not an opinion in Shiaism neither, because he would have. I think he would have mentioned it if it had more appeal outside of the outside of Shafi. You understand? And I don't even know if it's the strongest opinion in Shafi. You understand?
mm.
So that's the thing. And John said Demon 2 is not a good thing, Mr. Pelu. I mean, if you understand what it is, it's a tool. It's a tool for understanding. Like you have to be able to engage with the other, with a sense of understanding. If that's what gives us the ability to engage with the other, the quote unquote other, with understanding. That's how we could deal with them with understanding. That's how we know. That's how we understand them to be. You know what I'm saying? At least we have a platform to talk to them and tolerate them and have some type of hospitable, cordial relations. You know what I'm saying? We want to be hospitable. And I told you, Demi does not necessarily implement everything, because everything could be, because even jizya was spending in the was spending in the meat under the kind of Umar, when conditions were rough. So the meat is a way of looking, at people outside of us, but respecting the fact that we believe that Islam is the is the consummate reflection of reality, is a consummate reality, and we believe that that's the best of worship is having the constant reflection of reality. We still recognize as other people who don't have who not in our ideological camp, and who not in our order. When we gotta deal with them, by their order, or by an objective order, and that's why we have Dima, because Dimi is also a sadaka. Dima is also a sadaka, or reflection of reality. So thanks everybody. Watch religion again say Dimi is a term referring to non-Muslims living in Islamic state with legal protection. Yes, yes, yeah, but that's not necessarily kitab. It's still different. Exactly. That's what Dimi is referring to, non-Muslim living in Islamic state with legal protection, but it doesn't necessarily make you ala kitab. Okay, it doesn't necessarily make you ala kitab. That's the point I'm trying to make. Okay,
Mhm.
let's go to reading, because I know Jen wants to get at it. Let's go.
All right. The kaleidoscope of human variety and difference is a stimulus to knowledge, knowledge of the other, and knowledge of oneself. This seeking of knowledge will be successful if dialogue be based on what is finest in one's own faith, and in the faith of those with whom one is in dialogue. And do not hold discourse with the people of the book except in that which is finest, save with those who do wrong, and say, we believe in that which has been revealed to us and revealed to you. Our God and your God is one, and unto him we surrender.
Yeah, you see,
And see, this has nothing to do with, like, I don't
what he
know.
said before. See, this is correct.
Yeah,
This one paragraph is correct. Yeah, he made one correct paragraph. Again, it's Quran Surah 29, verse 46. Yeah, yeah, but yes, that one paragraph, because yes, because the differences of people, we should that, but
mhm,
it doesn't justify everything else he said. Not
yeah.
no, it doesn't. All right, keep going.
So he says, here mention is made explicitly of the people of the book, the Jews and the Christians, but as we shall see, the boundaries defining this category are flexible and not fixed. I disagree. All revealed religions can be placed within this category. Also disagree, which thereby comes to embrace the whole of humanity, given that no human community has been deprived of revelation. The following verses uphold this key premise of dialogue, stressing the inner unity of the message of religion per se on the one hand, and the outer diversity of the forms clothing this unique message on the other hand. So, one, for every community, there's a messenger, 1047. For each of you communities, we've established a law and a way, and had God willed, He could have made you one community, but in order that He might try you by that which He's given you, He has made you as you are. So, vie with one another in good works. Unto God you will all return, and He will inform you of that about which you differed. Okay, so that verse right there, it's basically saying that he made people different and gave them different religions, and we're not supposed to know why until the last day, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, where you at right now? Why you different,
I'm on
right?
the second verse for each of, uh,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I'm right here.
Okay, why you different? Okay, why you different? Okay, yeah. You know, yeah. He's going way too far with his stretching. Like um like
Hmm.
um just because he's saying, just because oh, see, look, and the thing about it though, he has some good points in it, but the thing about it, like I said, he's right about no people being denied a prophet, because we know there's prophets everywhere, right? But it doesn't mean that prophet's religion remained in its form to the point where we could call it the same as the people of the book, we that the people of the book is for the we know that lineage belongs to Abraham. We know that it's from Abraham. That's where we know the people of the book are from. You know what I'm saying? We can't. That's not something that we attribute to everybody. And just because we attribute Jimmy doesn't mean that. And watch what this said. The Muslims only gave to people of the book and Zoroastrians. Zoroastrians are not people of the book. That's the point I'm trying to make. It can be given to other people. The example of them giving it to Zoroastrians is the example of it can be of Dima being given from his earliest stage to people outside of the people of the book, meaning Dima and people of the book are not synonymous. You know what I'm saying? Not synonymous. I mean, the people of the book are within the Dima, but not all Dima are people of the book or within the people of the book. You understand?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it. I
Yeah,
get it.
so but no, but see, but that's the point. That's what this author is totally conflating the people
Right,
of the book
right.
and Dima, and that's wrong. Is a
Mhm.
totally bad. And think about it, there's so much inner unity that can be made by not conflating it because we know that even if it's not people of the book, we know that his messengers have been sent down to all mankind. You understand what I'm saying? So we know that his
Yeah.
messengers have been sent to all mankind. So that means there's a
Mhm.
possibility. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, disclaimer. I'm not saying that Buddha is a messenger, but it's a possibility that he could have been a messenger. It's a possibility his message could have been changed or whatever, or it could have been, it could have one time been affirming God. It could have one time been affirming God, but then it didn't. But then this, then the third happened. Or it could be that the divine light from different messengers found their way into Buddha's teaching. It could be many real. It could be many things that we can explore to connect us as religions. But conflating people of the book and demand together is an error. It's not the right way to go, and we're missing the actual connection that could be found.
Mm. All right. And we never sent a messenger save with the language of his people, so that he might make our message clear to them. 4:14. Truly we inspire you as we inspired Noah and the prophets after him, as we inspired Abraham and Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, and the tribes, and Jesus and Job, Jonah, Aaron, Solomon, as we bestowed unto David the Psalms and messengers we have mentioned to you before, messengers we have not messaged to you. That's 4 163 to 164. And we sent no messenger before you, but we inspired him, saying, there is no God save me, so worship me. 21:25. Not as said to you, Muhammad, but what is said unto the messengers before you. 41:43. On the basis of these premises, it should be possible to mount a serious argument in favor of the proposition that Buddha was a messenger, inspired by God with a message which was destined to become the basis of a global religious community. He is not mentioned by name in the Quran, but in light of what is said in Form 164, one can argue that the Buddha could well be one of the messengers, not explicitly mentioned in Islamic revelation. This argument is strengthened when one considers that over 10% of the inhabitants of the globe belong to the community inaugurated by the Buddha. If for every community there is a messenger, it would appear logical to conclude that the Buddha is the messenger for this vast community of believers.
I mean, he's making a lot of stretches. Like he has some points that could be made, but it's still a lot of stretches that he's making by conflating the people of the book. He's not getting to the real things that couldn't be connected, which I say there's a possibility of a connection. Well, there's a big possibility of connection, right? But at the same time, he needs to separate it from the Abrahamic religions. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Mm,
the Abrahamic world is his own world, which is Al Kitab, and he needs to, his the what was taken away from the argument is again the same thing as the conflation with Al Kitab and Al Dima. That conflation is taken away from his arguments. You understand? Because there is a point to be made. I see a point that can be made. I'm not gonna say I can't see the point that can be made, but what's taken away, of course, is the continuous the conflation. You know what I'm saying? And let's I want to say something from Anan. Anan said he said, might Gahatma Buddha be an Ulam Azam? I think great world. I think Azam means great. Ulam means world. I don't know what it is. why does there only have to be five ulul azam? I think it's probably Sufi concept. And he knows a lot about Sufism. I think these are Sufi concepts. To explain more to because I don't know these concepts. And then I'm not from the Sufi world. Could there be more jinn, angels, alien, interdimensional beings, ulam azam in the universe? Okay, I don't know what ulam azam is. Um, yeah, shout out.
Yeah, I don't know who. What is that? I'm gonna
Yeah,
look
I
it
don't know
up.
what that is. But
Let's
no, it's
see.
probably a Sufi. I think it's this. Look it up. It's probably a Sufi concept. But as for jinn, we know there's jinn. You know what I'm trying to say? We know there's jinn, there's ghosts, there's jinn. You know what I'm saying? We know there's angels. You know what I'm saying? He can he be a jinn? Yeah, he could be a jinn, but that means I don't know if he's a real person. Then that means you might say he's a fictional person that was created, like, or he's not a real person. Like, what? Like for example, I'm gonna give people like you know how most people call different things gods. You know how these people used to have Greek gods like Aries and whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like Aries, Hades, you know, in Roman gods, you had Jupiter, Mars, Venus,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying? Oh, you saying,
Mhm.
see, like a lot of those were jinn. Those were just jinn. People used to worship jinn and call them gods. They were just jinn. Like even Africa, I think all them gods they were worshiping were just jinn. They called them gods, but they're worshiping jinn. And jinn are like people, because jinn could be good and it could be bad. Because jinn are going to be judged in their judgment the same way humans are going to be judged in their judgment. Both mankind and jinn kind have to testify. They're both burdened. They're both burdened with opinion. They both have a consciousness. They both have an intelligence. They both have an opinion. Both human mankind and jinn kind have an opinion, and so they're gonna be judged. Will have the intellect to be judged. Yeah,
So I guess that means Alul Azam means arch prophets or the prophets of strong will. So that's what that means. All right.
yeah. I don't know that concept. Is it alum,
Azam, Azam,
as as
arch
as
prophets. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna get into this next paragraph.
okay.
Okay, so this because it gets into how he sees him as a messenger. So the Buddha as a messenger. One of the epithets by which the Buddha described himself is called the Tathagata, which means the one who has thus come and also thus gone. In their authoritative translation of one of the major scriptural compilations of the Pali Canon called the Majjhima Nikaya, the Middle Length Discourses, Bhikkhu Nanamoli and Bhikkhu Bodhi, those are the two translators, explained the dual meaning as follows. The Pali commentators explain the word as meaning thus come, Tathagata, and thus gone, Tathagata. That is the one who comes into our midst bearing the message of deathlessness to which he has gone by his own practice of the path. It is worth quoting further from this description of. Hold on, I just want to see what he references. One sec. 14. Middle Majjhima Nikaya. Which one though? Page 24. Alright, because it's not like. I don't know. They must have made it into a different book. Okay, it is worth quoting further from this description of the Buddha's function, as it reinforces the argument made above that the Buddha is indeed one of the messengers sent by God to humanity. He is not merely a wise sage or benevolent moralist, but the latest in the line of fully enlightened ones, each of whom arises singly in an age of spiritual darkness, discovers the deepest truths about the nature of existence, and establishes a dispensation, sasana, through the path to which deliverance again becomes accessible to the world.
That's a huge stretch. Because you would have to at least say, if you're gonna say that's connected to what the Muslims say about God, they would have to affirm God or Yati. They're going to say we're messengers sent by God.
right. And he says it says right here, which he gone by his own practice of the path, you
So
know, by
where's
his
the Buddha
own
attributing
practice.
attributing his ministry to God?
He never did. He never did
So you
that.
can't say so. Yeah. So unless we can find the Buddha attributing his ministry to God, I mean, the connections he's making are out of the question. Unless you're trying
It's
to tell
even
me
it's the
that you
self
believe.
enlightened one. Like all of his like praise or whatever you say is like the self enlightened one, the fully enlightened. Like by his uh achieved knowledge and stuff like that. Like
And that's the thing. And then even and then he's my guy in the chat. Yeah, and then see that's the reason why he can't be in a Lumism. He can't be those type of people because you would have to affirm God. Now. Can he have affirmed God in reality? But we don't know because of corruption or hiding or something is missing that we don't know. He could have really done it. Maybe I don't know. That's
I
his point.
think
But
because
he would have to
like
prove that. He would have to
yeah,
prove he had to prove
because
that
he
the
didn't
Buddha.
label it like what Buddha was preaching was like, more like oneness and the essence of like reality. You know what I'm saying? Like it, but he didn't label it as God, and he rejected like Brahma as a creator God. Like so it's but
That's the issue. That's the
yeah,
issue.
yeah.
So see, that's the way he's messing up. That's the
He
reason
all
why.
out denies him in a couple of different places. I'm trying to find those different.
And even if you believe Buddha did it, right? Let's say you believe Buddha is teaching something, then that taught something that Buddhists don't have now, that Buddhists have lost about him affirming God reality. You still can't attribute those that belief to Buddhism because we have to judge Buddhism by how Buddhism is actually practiced. And it's not practiced as a religion that affirms God in reality.
Mm, we affirm reality, but
No,
we
no, I
don't
said God
attribute
in
it.
reality. God in reality. It doesn't
Right,
affirm
right,
God in reality. So,
right.
so, 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 so if you cannot find them doing that, we cannot say Buddhism is in that world of religions that affirm God in reality. So it's a um, it's Nirvana. Is it? Is
That's what it. That's if anything, it may be. If that would be the closest thing. You know what I'm saying? Like
hey? And that's the
that would
connection
be
the
the
author got to
closest
make.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Then the other got to make that connection. Okay.
So
I see you,
hopefully
NN.
they'll.
I see
Yeah,
you,
hope,
NN. I see you,
yeah.
NN. So Nirvana. See, but you reach Nirvana. So when you reach Nirvana, you reach God. So what do you become when you reach Nirvana? You escape. I mean,
You
Nirvana
break
could
the
be God, but he
cycle
never
of
called it
rebirth.
God. But see, so that means, and I might be onto something. And I might be onto something because look, if you call Nirvana God, and you trying to say, so basically trying to say that, so basically, so the only way you can say that is that means Buddhism rejects Hinduism. Then that means you would have to say that Buddhism rejects Hinduism.
He did. He rejected a lot of Hindu concepts. He rejected Brahma as a god to some people outright. He rejected the caste system. He rejected their
So Buddhism
like
is a departure from Hinduism. So yeah, cause see, so
yeah, it's
yeah,
a
okay. No. The only reason because I've been talking, I've been on the Anna, he is in a, and I'm not gonna give you exactly what he is, but he's like somebody who's in the eclectic Hindu frame of mind. So he tries to put everything into Hinduism because he looks at it as very in a very Hinduism in a very eclectic manner, like he puts Sufism and Buddhism in the eclectic Hindu mix. But what you telling me? But what I'm reading, it could be that Buddha really just rejected Hinduism, and Buddhism really cannot be seen. If your interpretation is what Buddhism is, I'm not trying to put pressure on what you're saying. I'm just saying the way I'm hearing it, the Buddhism you're talking about, the Buddhism I'm reading in this book or reading or what I'm gathering is a rejection of Hinduism and a separation to a whole different path, even though it might still be called dharmic.
yeah, of course. That's why it's different than yeah. If it was, if he agreed with everything that the Brahmins in the Vedas said, there would be no Buddhism. It would just be Hindus. but he broke away from
Yeah,
there,
no,
like he
because
broke
some people
away.
consider them a form of Hindu. That's the reason why.
There's connections, like there's deep connections, you know what I'm saying? And like there's on the Hindu side there's deep connections, like so uh, I don't know like how to explain it. Like yeah,
yeah,
it's
because see,
deeply
cause, see, 'cause
connected, but
if
he
the way he does,
rejected the idea of there being a permanent soul which transmigrates from body to body, which is like a Hindu and even Sikhi concept, like, but then they have a lot of similarities. So it's like, that's why I say, like, they're connected, but he did, like, reject
well,
a
he
lot
definitely
of,
rejected Hindu theology then, because that means he's not rejecting God. Really, he was rejecting what Hindus were calling God.
yeah, he was like,
If you want to
that's what I'm
say that
trying to find the
that Buddhism
references.
is a messenger from God, you have to say it's not that he rejected God. He rejected what Hindus of his world were calling God.
Yeah, exactly.
So he could have really been a God follower, but didn't have the words to call it because everybody was calling God by the wrong thing.
Either that or they're just making God into what they want him to be, like making God into what, like,
That's calling
you
God the
know,
wrong thing. That's calling God the wrong thing because you're making God out to be something that he's not.
well, it's like, how could you even know? This is what I'm saying. Like,
Revelation, the signs, mercy, his mercy. God's own mercy is how you know him.
I don't know. Um,
That's the way the Muslims look. That's the way the Muslims look at God. That's what we call Ar-Rahman Rahim. His own mercy, his own favor is how we know him through his favor upon us. That's how the way the Muslims think about it. But I'm not saying that Islam and Buddhism is the same religion. I'm just trying to see how far how far the stretch is gonna go. I mean, of course, I'm already disagreeing with it being considered the people of the book, but I think there's really are connections if you look at them as Dima and Milads and religions. You know what I'm trying to say? Deen doesn't necessarily have to be the same as people of the book. Doesn't necessarily have to be the same as Islam. It just says their path. Or you can even say Milad if you're more comfortable with Milad. That means just the religious order. There's different orders. So we respect them religious order. There's so much to gain and so much to look at it. And he's bringing a lot of that to it. But he's also mixing his stretching with the amalgamating or connecting Dima to Al Kitab. But he does have a point in just I mean, but it's the underlying point yet. Can he be seen as God if we were going to say that he's rejecting what the Hindus were calling God, but really believe that God is Nirvana whole time, but never just called it God? And you can say he never really rejected God, just reject the Hindu notions of God. Can it be said? The stretch can be made, but I just want to make sure my only point is to make sure the right stretches are made, and that's not stretching it to say that Buddhism is same as Al Kitab.
hmm I'm trying to find like some references. I don't know. I'll have to try to look for them later. All right, let's What time is it? 9:30. Okay. Right, the one that got okay. The Pelu. Where was I at? Into his own practice. I read that. Okay, the essence of this dispensation is derived from the Buddha's enlightenment, referred to as Nibbana, Sanskrit Nirvana, and also as Dhamma in Sanskrit Dharma. This Nibbana is described in the following terms, all of which are juxtaposed with their opposites, so many forms of bondage from which the Buddha said he sought and found deliverance. Unborn supreme security from bondage, unaging supreme security from bondage, unailing what supreme security from bondage, deathless, sorrowless, undefiled supreme security of bondage. Where are they getting this from?
I don't know. Anan said, he said this. He said, Mr. Pelu, how do you define Hindu? There are over 1,000 religions or
Yeah.
Sampradayas. They're not identical. Okay, I was defining it as what the religion of Brahmin, right? So okay. Is there any form of Hinduism that does not regard Brahma or Brahmin or however you want to say it? I'm not versed in Hindu terminology. I'm sorry. Forgive me, everybody. The ultimate God concept. Is there any form of Hinduism that rejects Hinduism's ultimate God? If there's a form of Hinduism that rejects Hinduism's ultimate God, then we can say Buddhism might be a part of Hinduism according to how we're looking at Hinduism by the author of this book and Jen's agreement on certain things, and that's him, and that's the and that's the and not even agreement on certain things. Just they both agree that he's not that if we were to say Buddha rejected Brahman, and if we were to say he still was a messenger of God, we would have to say that he rejected what the Hindus would call a God, even though he didn't reject the actual God, ultimate nirvana, ultimate reality, and that's what we call God. He might have was rejecting some things. So it's very complicated, and then but the way to say he's definitely Hindu or to counteract me, you would have to show me a form of Hinduism or how Hinduism, any type of Hinduism that rejects Brahman as the ultimate god or rejects the ultimate any type of Hinduism that rejects the ultimate god of Hinduism, if that's possible. You understand what I'm saying, Jen?
Mm-hmm.
And then he said what the fifth Dhyana or Jana or Pancha or Sadivasva, to enter here a soul needs to be in the level of six liberated anagami as pure Buddha is reigned over by the Brahmas Samhampatri. Okay, so he okay, and it said okay. First of all, Bukimi Akpan, I'm not a Khawarij, okay? I am a Lawakwali Sakama,
Yeah,
okay?
don't even listen to
No,
them,
no, no,
man.
no,
They're
no, no. It's okay. It's okay, Jen. It's okay. I just want to address people. It's okay, Jen.
all
It's okay,
right.
Jen.
Do you
I just
want
want
to?
to point.
Do you want to continue, or do you want to stop now and talk to people, or what
No,
did
no,
you?
no. We continue. We continue. I just want to talk to people chat. We continue. No, we have way
All right.
more time to continue. We have way more time to read. We might as well crank out as much as possible today. You want to crank out? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm cool.
Okay, okay. The only reason, Jen, I personally make a point when I do my lives, if I could do a live to do with anybody to get the comments because I appreciate you being out here because you don't have to be here. You know what I'm saying? The people who come in, they don't have to be here. I'm not saying they're all good, right? But they don't have to be here, but they're here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
big
what
up
I'm
to the
saying? Yeah.
chat. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah. They don't have to be here, but they're here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that everybody chat is all good, but just if you here, I appreciate you being here. So even Bogani upon, I'm trying to tell you, I'm not a Qur'an. I mean, I'll have to teach you. I mean, I'll do a lesson one day maybe about halakha iskama, but reach the halakha iskama and try to look at our sources for what we teach. I know there's a lot of misinterpretation going on, but please, be patient. Go. I want you to go read I want you to go read about how halakha needs to come. Okay, read about bodies and read from their perspective. Okay, and don't just say what other people say. It is okay, and then Anons. Yeah, but I am body, but I'm making it clear I am body. I am halakha needs to come. I've always been body. I've always been halakha needs to come, and that's what I am. That's what I'm always going to be. Anyway, Anan said many of the sampradayas discuss personal God. Others discuss impersonal gods. Others speak of Brahman, the universal consciousness that transcends personal impersonal God. So I mean that's a good question. And then we would have to break down what is because if Brahman is the universal consciousness of transcends personal God, how can you have a universal consciousness that transcends the impersonal God? It's almost like that universal consciousness becomes a personal God. That becomes the personal God, how we call God, and if he's rejecting what you call God, then if he rejected Brahman, I would say he rejecting Hinduism because is Brahman ever? What I'm trying to say is that is there any time because Jen said that he rejected that sometimes he rejected Brahman, right, Jen? Sometimes I'm not saying he always did, but whatever. It was times where he rejected Brahman, right?
Right. There was times where he said, I'm trying to find the thing, but yeah, there's times that he said like if somebody created everything and your steps are guided like by by that, then like what kind of creator would like create you? You know, like he was kind of like taking the piss. Like, you know, I'm trying to find the sutta,
Because if he rejects Brahmin,
but then
how can he
other
be called a
times he,
Hindu?
right,
If
like,
Brahmin is the
no, he
ultimate,
wasn't a Hindu.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I mean, he might have been, but he strayed from that. Like,
I know.
they,
Yeah, I'm just trying to answer Anan. You're right. I'm just trying to
his
answer Anan.
family, like, was, they wanted him to stay that way, you know? Like, they wanted him to stay. He, yeah, so,
Hey,
all right.
Buk Akpam, I mean Bugani Akpam. No, my Mecca is Mecca. My Mecca is the Haram. Okay, my Mecca is the Haram. Is the Masjid al Haram. Okay,
All right.
Oman. I love Oman, and the people. Okay, go read the Hadith about the Prophet in Oman. Go read about what the Prophet said about Oman. A Prophet himself blessed Oman. He said, "What the people of Oman believe in me, but haven't even seen me." The Prophet himself blessed Oman forever. So go read about. Go Google the Prophet Muhammad Hadith in Oman. Do that. All
All
right,
right,
then.
let's get into, yeah, let's give that a pause for, I want to get back into this. The Buddha continues to describe this enlightenment in terms of the Dhamma. As we shall see below, this term can be translated by such terms as law, way, and norm on one hand, and as ultimate truth and reality on the other. So the enlightenment and the way to enlightenment are virtually synonymous. The Dhamma then is described by the Buddha as profound, hard to see and hard to understand, peaceful and sublime, unattainable by mere reasoning, subtle and to be experienced by the wise. The essence of, see, that's, it's like he taught people according to their like intelligence level. So if he was talking to Brahmins, like he would teach them one way, but if he was talking to people who maybe like weren't that smart, because not everyone knew how to read and stuff back then, like he would teach them a different way, like according to their knowledge, you know. So like, yeah, he did say that, but like he said different stuff to other people, you know. So the essence of the enlightenment thus remains incommunicable. It could only be experienced by the wise and is unattainable by mere reasoning. According to the Diamond Sutra, truth is uncontainable and inexpressible. So only the means by which enlightenment can be attained are communicable. This communicable content of the enlightenment experience is summed up in the Four Noble Truths.
And see, look, and that almost reminds me of Akida. That's what basically. So basically, in a way, he's trying to say that Islam. I mean that Buddhism, the same way that Islam has Marifa, that has enlightenment, and then has Akida. So their Akida is like the Four Noble Truths.
Hmm.
That's like Buddhist Akida. So it's similarities there, as long as he doesn't try to merge things that shouldn't be merged. But there are real similarities as just being religions.
Mm. All right. It is the declaration of these truths that set the wheel of Dharma turning at the first sermon delivered by the Buddha to 5 monks in the deer park at Isipatana in Benares. These truths are the fact of suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the way leading to the cessation of suffering. So those are our Four Noble Truths. They are explained in various places in different ways. One succinct presentation of them is given in the following passage where the Buddha asks, what is suffering? Birth is suffering, aging, sickness, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair are suffering. Not to obtain what one wants is suffering. In short, the 5 aggregates affected by clinging are suffering. This is called suffering. So, 5 aggregates are form, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. So all these things are ways that people intake suffering. Um, Affected by clinging or suffering, and this is called suffering. And what is the origin of this suffering? It's craving, which brings renewal of being and is accompanied by delight and lust, and delights in this and delights in that. That is craving for sensual pleasures, craving for being, and craving for non being. This is the origin of suffering. And what is the cessation of suffering? It is the remainderless fading away and ceasing and giving up, relinquishing, letting go, and rejecting of that same craving. This is called the cessation of suffering. And what is the way leading to the cessation of suffering? It is just this noble eightfold path that is right view, right intention, right speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. This is called the way leading to the cessation of suffering. So basically, these Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path is like the absolute core that's agreed upon from every school. That's the foundation of,
That's basically Akita. That's what we call Akita.
yeah, that's the foundation of the entire thing. Like this, no matter what beliefs, like if you're Tibetan, Japanese, whatever, Zen, Chan, Pure Land, these are going to be consistent through every
So
single
so so
school.
so Buddhism has an Akita. So Buddhism could be called a
Yeah,
religion. I'm not saying that whether Islam agrees with the Akita of Buddhism. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that
yeah.
the Buddhism has its own Akita, has its own creed. If you want to say the eighth noble path, the noble eightfold path and the four noble truths are are agreed upon. Okay, that concept in Islam we call ijma, consensus. So that's the consensus. That's your ijma. You have ijma on the four noble truths and eight noble paths. You have ijma. You have
Hmm.
your akida. Your akida is there. Your ijma is there.
Okay, yeah, that's it. It is to be noted that the Quranic definition of salvation in Islam is directly connected with the cessation of suffering, and it is from the suffering of hell precisely that one is in fact saved. Truly, those who believe, and those who are Jews and the Christians and the Sabians, whoever believes in God in the last day and performs virtuous acts, for such their reward is with their Lord. No fear or grief will befall them. 262 repeated almost verbatim at 569. One might ask whether the two types of suffering are situated on the same plane, whereas the idea of whereas the Muslim idea of avoiding suffering is connected to the avoidance of perpetual torment in hell. The Buddha's message appears to pertain only to the cessation of suffering in this world. Message appears to, no, it's not, because you have
It's not
to, well, no, I
saying.
guess it is. Nirvana is the, yeah, okay, okay. However, there is certainly an eschatological aspect to the Buddha's message. Just as inversely, there's a terrestrial aspect to the cessation of suffering in Islam, and this is made clear in many sermons where posthumous existences are referred to in terms identifiable as heavenly and hellish. So yeah, there's many realms that there's like heavenly realms. He talks of hellish realms, suffering realms, cold realms, hot, like different types of hellish, like kind of torturous kind of existences. And he also
So
speaks of
so so
heavenly
so so
realms and
so there's an idea. There's an idea of of um of
heavens and hells.
heavens and hells. So that means reward and punishment. And and
Yeah,
and by calling it heavens and hell, are you saying that the force that implements it transcends humanity by calling it heavens and hells? So is there a transcendent authority or is there a transcendent force who administers this? Heaven and hell? How does heaven and hell come
No,
about?
it's
I
your
know.
karma determines
So is karma
your
transcending the
rebirth.
human? Is karma transcending the human?
What you mean?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out how the Buddhists
Yeah, so your
are
karma
getting
stays with you after you die and before you're
to
born, right?
okay.
Yeah, so I guess it does stay with you. It's your consciousness, like what's attached to your consciousness, like your karma is like your consciousness. So it's not you that's getting reborn, but it's like a trace of your consciousness. And if you've done really a lot of bad things, you after this body dies, your consciousness may end up in a torturous place, or it may end up in a wonderful place, or it may end up in the same place. But the idea is to stop coming back to any place.
Okay, but it still have heaven. So I'm just trying to see where these heavens are coming from. I'm trying to say is that
So see, this is the 31 planes that Anan is talking about. Like these are the 31 realms of rebirth that you could be reborn into. That's what he's talking about. So according to your karma, you'll end up in one of those levels, unless you attain nirvana and relinquish all of them.
okay. I'm still trying to see if you're talking about heavens and hells. How does heavens and hells come about? Who's the? Is there a power behind? See, look. My mentality is heavily based on the Abrahamic world. So I look at everything as having a creator. So I'm trying to figure out.
Mhm.
I'm trying to figure out who created heaven and hell. Like, how does heaven and hell get created? Is there a transcendent creator? What I'm trying to say is that is using or expressing phenomenons within the Buddhist tradition as heavenly or hellish, an indication that the Buddhists believe in in some type of transcendent creator. I'm trying to see is that it cannot be used as evidence of a belief. Can that be used as
No,
evidence?
I don't think so, because like he doesn't talk about a creator assigning you to any place or creating anything. He teaches dependent origination. So everything that happened, nothing lives independently. Like nothing in our observable existence, it can exist independently. You know what I'm saying?
That's the
Everything
point.
is
So who is it dependent on? Who, if they can't live independently, who is existence or creation dependent on then? And is this dependency
what
evidence
you
of a
mean
transcendent
itself.
creator?
Like it's not depend. It's on. So it's dependent. It's like a cycle, right? Like like the little recycle arrows that point at each other. You know
So
what I'm
what?
saying?
Like
Like
the what?
that's
Like the
you
what?
know that like on the recycle bins, there's like a triangle of arrows, and they all point
Yes,
at each other,
yes.
like that. Like Ouroboros, like it's depends on
So
things
you
that
saying
arise.
you saying so are you saying that Buddhism is pantheistic that it says the ultimate dependency is the creation itself, so like pantheistic? Can it be seen as pantheism?
I don't know. I don't
Could
think
would that
so.
be pantheism then? If you're using the recycle thing, the first thing I see when I think of recycle and you say God, I think of pantheism. I think if you're saying the creation itself,
So like
the
all
universe
things are
itself,
dependent on other things, like
yeah.
circumstances for things to arise. Like things arise and they pass. They arise and they pass.
So would that be pantheism? Like similar to Sikhs, but the only thing you don't personalize your God, but it's like pantheism, almost like how you say Sikhism is
Maybe.
similar. Yeah, because
Yeah.
Sikhs are like
Yeah.
pantheists. So you're saying that Buddhism is pantheistic. It can be seen as pantheistic
Well,
in a
I
way.
just think that he didn't claim to know a start. Like he didn't know when it started or what. Like he said that the universe is expanding and contracting in cycles for eons. As one
And
dies, one gets reborn. Like one dies, one gets reborn. So it's like,
Anna said many see Eastern philosophies in general as pantheism. Well, hey, it sounds like pantheism right now. It sounds like pantheism. Many, he said, and Mr. Pelu, many Eastern traditions do not believe in the concept of personal and impersonal God. The multiverse happens. So it's almost like pantheism then. So you're trying to say Buddhism is. So you saying pantheism? Hey, so the question now is pantheism something inherent in dharmic religions?
I don't know.
Is it something that's so inherent in dharmic religions that dharmic religions can't really get away from pantheism? Really? And let me get some more stuff. Okay. As for um pass on the truth. The other thing is Shia Ibadi. It's only Allah who is coming. Allah who is coming. We're not Shia. And what else? What else? The question is what's the religion?
So
Okay.
what he's yeah. Let me. So why so religious says. How did karma come into existence and get his authority to decide bad things? There's actually, I gotta find the reference. See, like I need to write down all these things I have to find references for, and there's actually, I think it's this one. Yeah, what came first? He gives like, I don't want to say like a creation story because it's highly metaphoric. You know what I'm saying? It's like allegorical. It's not literal.
Yeah,
You
but let
know,
me ask
so
you this
like
though. Is that more
yeah. I
evidence for
mean,
pantheism? Is that more evidence? Because they have a creation story without a God. So are they saying that the God creation created so? So you're saying so that's still it still has the taste in my mouth in my humble assessment of pantheism. The fact that you have a creator story without a creator God directly spoken of.
so this is like one of. I'm gonna post this. DN27. Hold on. How do I get this link? I gotta bookmark
Hey,
it.
why so religion keeps saying that Buddha is the Godhead? How you feel about that statement, Jen? Since you're
I don't
Buddhist,
know. He's holding Buddhism to Abrahamic like standards again. Where's my lighter? I just had that shit. All right, let me find this source real quick. But yeah, I don't think that. I don't know how is he a godhead. Like I don't know. Well, it's 10 o'clock. What do you want to keep reading, or you want to open up the thing? I know this guy's itching to get on. Um,
who's just gonna get on?
why so?
No, no, okay, no. Let's keep reading. You want? Let's keep reading.
All right, let me.
Unless you wanna, unless Ross or at least want to come because we're not because you want to talk for 2 whole hours or something. Nah, let's let's because well he wants to come on. I mean nah, it's too early. Let's keep banging this some of this out.
All right. No, I don't want to. Hold on. I want to copy this shit. All right. Copy YouTube.
He wants to. And Ross or Religion wants to come read. Does Ross or Religion even have the Do you even have the PDF?
I don't know. Why do I read like shit?
Nah, I'm gonna say he wants to come read. That's the only way he can come on is
I
if you
read
want to pick
out
it up.
loud.
Yeah,
Well, okay. Do I need to read louder or something? Am I not
I
reading
don't
loud
know.
enough?
No. I'm just saying if Rice because you was like Rice Religious is itching to come on, and I'm like
Oh, okay.
I'm like the only reason he'll come on now is if you want to read because I don't want to go into Rice Religious
Yeah,
argument so quick. I heard today right now. If you're
yeah.
gonna come on right now, the only way he's coming on right now if it's to read.
All right. So it says describe. Where are we at? Okay, tasting the fruits hereafter. Only one of one's actions. Oh, none of hell. Shit. Okay, indeed, the principle of accountability and of tasting the fruits hereafter, only one of one's actions here below was central to the Buddha's own enlightenment. Describing the various phases of his enlightenment, he speaks as follows. When my concentrated mind was thus purified, bright, unblemished, rid of imperfection, malleable, wieldly, steady, and attained to imperturbability, Im- impertur.
Imperturbability. Imperturb is like not being disturbed. It's not being disturbed easily.
Unable to be upset or excited. Okay.
Yeah, it's like being
I,
tranquil, tranquility,
okay. I directed
or
it to
equanimity.
no. Okay. I directed it to knowledge of the passing away and the reappearance of beings. So it's like rebirth is what he's talking about. I saw beings passing away and reappearing, inferior and superior,
With
fair
the
and
divine
ugly.
eye, you forgot a part. With the divine eye,
Oh, whoa. With the divine eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, I saw beings passing away and reappearing, inferior and superior, fair and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate. I understood how beings pass on according to their actions thus. These unworthy beings who were ill conducted in body, speech, and mind, revilers of the noble ones, wrong in their views, giving effect to wrong view in their actions, on the dissolution of body after death, have reappeared in the state of deprivation, in bad destination, in perdition, even in hell. But those worthy being who were well conducted in body, speech, and mind, not revilers of the noble ones, right in their views, giving effect to their right views in their actions, on the dissolution of the body after death, have reappeared in good destination, even in the heavenly world. Thus, with the divine eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, I saw beings passing away and reappearing, inferior and superior, fair and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate, and I understood how beings pass on according to their actions.
wow. And
Jeez!
that's the crazy. And all I heard, what I heard about that was all about Kiyama. We call it Kiyama. What he's talking about Islam is so similar to how we describe Kiyama judgment. You understand?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so similar the way we describe Kiyama. So it's like one of the few things. The Kiyama is even the root word of Istikama. I mean, Istikama and Kiyama have the same root word. But anyway, one of our key beliefs in Islam is believing in first God, but you also believe in what the Yom Kiyama, the last day. You believe in God in the last day. So this is it has this statement is screaming some awareness of Kiyama. It's screaming an awareness of Kiyama. You understand?
Hmm.
So even when you're a Muslim hearing it, you hearing Kiyama, Kiyama, Kiyama. I'm not saying that we have the same beliefs. I'm just saying it's screaming. So it's like it's easy to think that some light from the prophetic tradition could have came into Buddhism, even if you want to be objective from a Muslim perspective. Just because what he's saying is screaming Kiyama, it's screaming it. It's almost like and then also you know it's screaming the Kiyama and uh, what else? I'm about to say something else. It's like
I'm trying to look up this source and I don't know what this ibid is. So I'm just going to try to look for.
oh yeah, and the divine eye. Okay, I gotta add the divine eye. He's talking about divine eye. So if
Yeah, that's what I
so,
want to find the
it,
original text and
yeah.
see what
So
that
what's the divine
translates
eye?
to.
Is there
Right.
evidence? Is there evidence of the of the affirmation of God or of the belief in the affirmation of God reality? Because a lot of people say Buddhism don't believe in God. I'm not saying this. You're saying
people, because people in chat are saying what Buddhists don't believe in God. One guy told me, Mr. Pelu, Buddhists don't believe in God. But hey, could it be something that we're missing? Could it be something? Can there be some traces of some belief in God in Buddhism? Could it be? Let's examine.
Maybe. All right. To number 19. I want to try to find this on the other website because it has like the side by side.
Okay. Anna asks Mr. Pelu, what is God? And for I'm gonna give the briefest thing I can say. I'm not gonna go into it. It's more to it, but I'm gonna say um um the personification of the absolute reality.
I don't know. It's gonna take me a minute to find this. It's so hard to find these. I still have a hard time with that. What is it?
And then
19.
uh,
And
uh,
19.
hey, hold on. Before you get that, Adam said, "Do you mean a universal consciousness that transcends all infinite universe plural, and finite multiverse plural?" Yeah, but I won't call them infinite universe, infinite multiverse. The only way I want to say infinite because I'll attribute infinity only to God. And I think I think being truly infinite is being truly transcendent. That's where I'll disagree. But sort of, I'm gonna say sort of, but I'm gonna have to disagree with limiting. Because don't get me wrong, it could be infinite after creation. Yeah, 'cause you kind of could look. You kind of onto something, and then because even us Muslims, we say hell is permanent, and also heaven is permanent. So can you be infinite as if not having an end, but it can't be infinite as not having a beginning because everything has a beginning. So it depends how you define infinite. But the true infinitum is only to God. So it's not infinite. But I see what you're saying, Anan. I see what you're saying, but I'll say different. But I'm gonna say sort of. I see what you're saying. I mean, there's certain things that there's certain ways you're saying things that might go outside of Islamic orthodoxy. But I see the point you're trying to make. I do see the point you're trying to make. And yeah, that's what I'm being by God. See the point. The point you're trying to make. I mean, according to the point you're trying to make, yes, that's what I'm calling God. But I don't agree with a little bit about how you define God. My theology might be different, but but for the sake of conversation, I'll be something along those lines. No, I said that God does not have a beginning. It's the universe that has a beginning. That's why I have an issue with maybe saying a trend that transcends the infinite universe. Because then, what is infinite? Does infinite means it have a beginning or has no end? Because if it's something that has a beginning but has no end, then that's possible. But the only thing that doesn't have a beginning and doesn't have an end is God Almighty, because God does not have a beginning and God doesn't have an end. So clarify, why so religious? God does not have a beginning. God does not have an end.
All right. See, all right. So I found this. Um, I found the source for this. What he's saying right here. When my concentrated mind was thus purified, uh, I directed it to the knowledge of the passing away and the reappearance. Okay, so that is MN19. Let me copy this. Uh, throw the link in the chat. And it reads a little different, so let me read it. How do I hate Microsoft Edge. Like, all right, just stop. When my mind had immersed in samadhi like this, purified, bright, flawless, rid of corruptions, pliable, workable, steady, and imperturbable, I extended it towards recollection of past lives. I recommended many kinds of past lives with features and details. This was the first knowledge which I achieved in the first watch of the night. Ignorance was destroyed and knowledge arose. Darkness was destroyed and light arose, as happens for a meditator who is diligent, keen, and resolute. So he's not saying divine I in this. He's saying when my mind has become immersed in samadhi like this.
So you're saying it's a mistranslation?
I extended it toward knowledge of the death and rebirth of sentient beings. With clairvoyance that is purified and superhuman, I saw sentient beings passing away and being reborn. Inferior and superior, beautiful and ugly, in a good place or bad place. I understood how sentient beings are reborn according to their deeds.
Hey, and the thing about it, we have the same notion because we have the nation of sentient beings. We call it mankind and jinkind. We believe in
Mm.
two different orders of sentient beings, mankind and jinkind. So we have the same note. We have similar. I'm not gonna say same notion. 'Cause I know it's controversial. I'm gonna say similar notions, mankind and jinkind.
So he doesn't. I'm trying to find.
Hey, jinn is for everybody. Jinn is the root of the word genie. We use genie in English. That's what jinn is the root of.
Mm. All right. Root text with translation side by side. All right. Line by line. Yeah, so see, like, we have. Can you. Let's make sure it's on the right screen. Yeah, so you can see this website that I'm using. It gives you the original language in Pali right here with the translation right under it. So I'm going to try.
Hey, someone in the chat said this guy in chat said Buddha was Muslim. He lived at the time of Ibrahim. That's Bongani Akbom. He said Buddha was Muslim. He lived at the time of Abraham.
Sorry, buddy. I don't believe you. Um, he was a, a Hindu, bro. Like, kind of Brahmanic Vedas.
He might be trying to say what the others say. He might be saying he's a Muslim, as in he's a messenger of God sent by God Almighty. So I mean, that's what we're examining. We're examining a lot of stuff, Akban. So that's just the notion he said. So let's examine if he could be a messenger of God. If messenger of God, can he be in the same? Can he be called a Muslim? I mean, let's see. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm not saying that's the case, but hey, we're here to examine. We're here to make an examination. We're here to talk. We're here to talk about possibilities. I'm not saying that I know everything. I'm not saying none of us know everything. We're here to talk about the possibilities.
All right. So it says the concrete reality of the principle of karma, of concordant actions and reactions, was thus brought home to the Buddha as part of his original enlightenment, whence he repeated instance on the necessity of ethical propriety, manifested through an adherence to the Noble Eightfold Path. The ethical content of the Buddha's message is thus strikingly similar to that which one finds in Islam. Not only are there numerous correspondences between Islamic ethics and each of the aspects of the Noble Eightfold Path, but also regards the fundamental determinant of one's life hereafter. There is an undeniable similarity centered on the nature of one's actions. O my servants, God says in a hadith Qudsi, divine utterance, it is but your deeds that I reckon up for you and then recompense you for.
So he's trying to say that the idea of recompense in Islam is similar to the karma or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. I mean, see, if you want to look at them from an ethical position, this is so much to compare. If you want to look at it from an ethical position,
Yeah.
like I told you, the issues were before was certain things that he was doing about theological things that he was doing, trying to
mix the like Kitab and the Dima. But if you want to look at it from a ethical standpoint, that's the place to look. Philosophically and ethically, that's the place to look for the common ground. So yes.
Mhm. There are no doubt profound differences between the two faiths as regards the way in which this principle of posthumous recompense or ultimate accountability operates. In Islam, there's a belief in a personal divinity, God, as the judge who weighs up our deeds, and in Buddhism, the principle of karma is strictly impersonal. Nonetheless, the incompatibility between the two perspectives pertains to the operation of the principle of accountability, and not to the principle itself. In fact, one observes within Islam both modes of operation. The conception of God as personal judge is obviously predominant in the Quran, but the complementary principle is by no means absent, and intimation of the Buddhist of the Buddha's impersonal perspective
No,
is
the
given.
is it intimation.
Intimation.
Yeah,
Okay.
intimation. Intimation means like it's it's hard for me to explain. It's like an illusion,
Mm,
like an illusion to or like it's like I know what it means, but it's hard for me to define.
like comparative, maybe.
It's like intimation is more. It's more like soft. It's like an illusion or like a similar. It's like a similitude, like an illusion. Illusion is most. You put the n next to it.
An indication or hint.
Yeah. Indication. Yep. That's like illusion, like an illusion. Yeah. Like
Okay.
illusion, like an illusion. Yeah. Not illusion. I mean
The
illusion.
Buddhist
Illusion.
right. Perspective is given in the following verses of the Quran. And every man's augury have we fastened to his own neck, and we shall bring forth for him on the day of resurrection a book which he will find wide open. It will said it will be said to him, read your book, your own soul suffices as reckoner against yourself this day. 17:13 of 14.
That's what Bani Israel. But no, he's totally wrong with that. That is not giving intimation of the impersonal God. Just because he doesn't talk about it, that's totally wrong.
Yeah,
That's
right.
terrible. That's really bad. That's
Yeah,
that's a that's a
it's
blatant
not
overstretched
comparative.
error. Oh my God, that's an error.
Yeah.
I mean, he's stretching beyond. That's like
It
how
says we shall bring forth for him on the day of resurrection. That's not like anything. Yeah, I get it. All right. Even if there are dozens of other verses in which God as judge is deemed to be the determinant of one's fate in the hereafter, this single verse shows the essential principle of accountability in the hereafter can be expressed in different ways. I'm like, does it? Not really. It's pretty
No, it
cut and
does.
dry.
I mean, it can be. It might be able to. I mean, it is expressed in different ways, but he's not. But he's stretching the evidence for it. He's
Yeah,
stretching. He's stretching beyond. He's stretching to a point of heresy. In my humble estimation, he's over. He's stretching to a point of complete heresy. He's almost like it's not. I mean, he don't have to. What I'm trying to say, he's stretching, and is unnecessary. Some of the stretching he's doing is not even necessary.
right. It's
It's
not.
unnecessarily stressing. Yeah, stretching.
Yeah. All right. Even if there are dozens of other verses in which God as judge is deemed to be the determinant of one's fate in the hereafter, the single verse shows that the essential principle of accountability in the hereafter can be expressed in different ways. The theistically conceived judge can be seen, from a Buddhist point of view, as one way of expressing the objectivity of the principle of cosmic recompense, while karma can be conceived from a Muslim point of view as one way of expressing the principle according to which the judge evaluates all deeds. Like that whole thing could have been left out, Moreover, as will be
like
seen in
like
this.
like 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 the last.
like he should have started with the theistical conceived judge can be seen from the Buddhist. He just started off with that, but everything he said before could have it was just stretching.
Yeah, yeah,
He was
like
stretching for no reason. Like yeah,
right.
everything else was no reason stretching. Like why are you stretching? Just start with the theist the theistically conceived judge can be seen from a Buddhist perspective. Once he gets that part, he's right, but he just made up a bunch of stretching to get there for no, and it's like wrong, it's erroneous and it's wrong and it was unnecessary.
Mm, all right. Moreover, as will be seen in the section on compassion in both traditions, there's a principle which transcends the cosmic chain of cause and effects, and this is divine mercy.
Yeah,
Huh?
that's in Islam. Islam has divine mercy. I don't know what's the
Yeah, I
concept
don't
of divine mercy in Buddhism. Do you have a concept of divine mercy?
know.
We call it rakama. We call it rakama. So
No.
he's stretching again. See, I mean,
Yeah,
unless there is one. So let me ask you this though: is the revelation or the giving of Buddhism a divine mercy? Is Buddhism itself a mercy?
no. It's a path to
Okay.
liberation.
So that's a clear difference. So he's stretching. He only made only one sentence was good. He only made the one sentence.
Mm,
Everything else was a stretch. He stretched. They made one sentence not stretching. They came back to stretching again.
right, right.
Basically, right? Because the only thing that was good, right, was this: the theistically conceived judge can be seen from a Buddhist perspective as one of expressing the objectivity of the principle of cosmic recompense, while karma can be conceived from a Muslim perspective point of view as one way of expressing the principle according to which the judge evaluates all these. Yes, that can be. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it's comparable. You know what I'm trying to say? They're comparable. That's a fair comparison. I'm not saying the same thing theologically
Right, right.
or religiously, but it's comparable. But everything else, he's not. He just stretched. He's just stretching. He had one sentence that showed a real comparable thing. You know, he just a lot of stretch. I mean,
Right.
and the reason why I'm bringing it up because I mean, because we want to build our discourse on strength and not on weaker arguments because we don't want to fall. We want to build a solid foundations and because we're talking about common ground. We don't want
Hmm.
to walk on sand. We want to walk on something solid. You know what I'm saying?
Right. The affinity remains, therefore, on the level of principle, and this can help reinforce the basic argument sketched out above and which we hope to flesh out in what follows. That there are enough resemblances between the two faiths to enable Muslims to affirm that Buddhists are guided by a true religion, one which is like Islam in the sense intended by the words of the following verse. And if they believe in the like of what you believe, then they are rightly guided. To 137. Again, it
This
should
is
be
a
noted.
super stretch. Super
Yeah,
stretch.
yeah,
Super. From my humble assessment from first hearing it, I say it falls into heresy. It's a super stretch. But hey, let's see if we can
yeah.
defend it. It's a super stretch. Super.
It should be noted that this verse comes immediately after one of the most comprehensive descriptions of the scope of the prophetic mission, several prophets being named specifically, and then all prophets being referred to in general. Say, we believe in God and that which is revealed unto us, and that which was revealed unto Abraham and Ishmael and Isaac and Jacob and the tribes, and that which Moses and Jesus received, and that which the prophets received from their Lord. We make no distinction between any of them, and unto him we surrender. To 136.
That doesn't justify the claims he's making.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
the Quran is correct, but he not. But it doesn't apply to the
Yeah.
claims he's making. It doesn't apply to the claim he's making. It doesn't apply to that. It just doesn't. Don't get me wrong. It shows that there could be It shows that there could be a connection from divine, but he's making too many stretches. He's adding. He's interweaving. See that's the problem when you make all these stretches because he's not putting together the right pieces because he has some good pieces, but the right pieces not getting put together because is all this extra stretching that he's doing that's stopping his argument from weaving together properly to make the real foundation for common ground between the two religions. You understand?
Mhm. Mhm. As noted above, verse 262 of the Quran teaches us that salvation is dependent upon the realization of three principles: belief in the absolute, accountability to that absolute, and virtuous conduct in consequence of those beliefs. At this point, it would appear that the Buddha certainly taught the latter two principles as regards to the first. Belief, accountability, yeah. Belief in the absolute. We shall be addressing this now in chapter 1 of our argument. If our argument there is valid, then there would appear to be sufficient grounds for asserting that Buddhist beliefs are certainly close enough to Islamic ones to be regarded as authentic guidance.
He's
It,
stretching.
yeah, if
This is
they believe
stretch.
in the like of that which you believe, like he keeps repeating these things, then they're rightly guided. But it's like what you is just because you
No.
repeat it doesn't gonna make it like true. Like
Yeah, exactly.
he said it 3 times, or that's the third time he said that. It would be appropriate at this point to proceed with an evaluation of the nature of the Buddha's enlightenment, bearing in mind that the word Buddha means awakened one, in the light of the Islamic concept of divine revelation. So, now they're
Oh
gonna
no,
try to,
no,
like
no,
they're
we
gonna
can't do
try
it,
to
we
tell
can't
that
do this. Stretching,
his
it's stretching.
enlightenment is
No,
divine.
it's
Like,
super
uh,
stretch.
I mean,
Super
so like
stretch.
if he
Stretch
attained some kind
Armstrong.
of like
Stretch Armstrong.
supernatural like knowledge, right? Like he's gonna say like, well, where did it come from? Which is true. So like, where did it come from? You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like
but
he
see,
unlocked knowledge of like
come
the
on.
universe, how, and like he was supposed to have been able to like see, like he had like that they say like supernatural power, like not power over it, but like knowledge of the universe and how things, of all things, like dhammas of all things, like I don't know. So we're, who
I
knows?
mean, I mean, see, the thing about his argument, I told you, he adds so much stretching that the good things that he could connect are not connecting right. You know what I'm saying? He,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
put something that can connect, but then it doesn't connect right because he adds so much fluff that's just extra stretch. Okay, Anand said, Mr. Belum, many East believe that the great masters of Eastern philosophy were Muslim Nabi. Okay, that that's fine if they believe that, but it's still, I mean, and that's good, right? That's good, and that's the point I'm making, that there could be a connection, right? But I'm trying to say is the author, he goes into he's bringing up some of the actual connections, but unfortunately he's putting them in between a sandwich, a bunch of stretching that doesn't make that's totally erroneous, and then it messes up his argument. He's not, the argument is not crystallizing the way it could be crystallizing if there wasn't so much extra extra stretch. It's so much extra stretch in what he's saying, so much extra stretch that the real connections are being lost in between it, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. So revelation from on high or within. So there's this the what he says earlier, which we know didn't necessarily say divine, with the divine eye which is purified and surpasses the human. This phrase from the middle length discourses cited above is one of the keys to understanding the Buddha's message and his dialectic. However, that's no, because his dialectic is completely lost in all of the English translations. Like it's so much of his like mannerisms and little quirks, and like I guess he sometimes was supposed to be like kind of funny, like he had like comical approaches to some people, and some people he just like kind of slapped them in the face with the truth, like, and dropped the mic and did one of them, like, so like in a certain, like I said before, like when he would kind of like deliver the message to people according to their like capacity, of understanding something. So
Yeah, yeah,
His
yeah.
dialectic isn't really captured, like in. Is that, or am I saying that wrong? Like
No,
his mannerisms.
I mean, his dialectic is just his discourse. He means his discourse, like what he says, his logic, the logic behind his mission, the logic behind his propagation, the logic behind
I
what he
thought that meant
propagates.
like the way he talks, like the way he talks, like the way he dialogues.
No, dialectic is it means like argument, his case, the case he's making.
So,
That's what it means. It's like dialect. It's like in this sense, it's almost like Hegelian dialectic. When I mean, they're using dialectic. They're not using dialectic as like a dialect of English. Like you know how like
mm.
African Americans might have a dialect of English. No, they're not using it like that. They're using it as in they're using it as in like Hegelian. The context
Oh,
they're
so
using
that's
it.
my bad then. All
Yeah,
right, my
yeah,
bad.
yeah,
Let me carry on. Okay. Uh, however, much be the emphasis on the human aspect of his enlightenment, it is clear from this citation alone, and many more could be given, that it is only something beyond the human and relative that can give rise to the transcendent perceptions of spiritual realities which constitute the message of the Buddha. So they're saying that is, I mean, and I mean, yeah, it's superhuman. Like I would agree with that. It says, in the text that it was super. Where was that?
yeah. Okay. So is that superhuman? Can that superhumanist can that be considered a mercy?
A mercy.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna add to that. If you say mercy, is that consider can it be considered divine mercy? And if you consider a divine mercy, can that be considered an affirmation of God in reality?
I don't know. I don't. I don't know. Because
Well,
it
what I'm
says
trying to
like
say is
when
that
his mind has been
can the
immersed.
personal God that created the universe be veiled in Buddhism? Can he be there but just veiled?
Maybe like I think not veiled, but like
Now I'm
not
using the word veil. I'm just using the word
exposed.
veiled as a figure of speech. Yeah, he's not exposed like Batin. Yeah, can it be hidden? Can the personal God be esoteric in Buddhism?
Maybe, maybe like maybe that's what I'm saying. I think that if it was like equivalent to anything, it would be to nirvana, right? Like that would have to be because that's the ultimate reality, the truth of all things. When you get there, you achieve, you know, the
So can
truth about
Nirvana be the
all things.
clothing of God? Can it be the clothing of God in Buddhism? Can Nirvana
Maybe,
esoterically be God? And maybe we
maybe.
should look at Buddhism from an esoteric standpoint.
I don't know. Johnny says no. I say maybe, like maybe. I don't really know.
Maybe we might find it because it's gonna make Annan happy because Annan's saying about the East and all this stuff. Yeah, well, we know many Muslims in the East make similar arguments. That's the argument we're making. My only argument is about how the author stretches a bunch of things that don't need to be stretched and messes up the actual connections. That's our only issue. That's our main. Well, that's not our only issue. I'm gonna say that's our main issue. That's the issue that's most apparent. Right?
Right.
Right, Jen. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
But we're not saying there's no connection.
Okay.
We're not saying there's no connection because and I've always said that we're only doing this because we believe the connection to begin with. If we didn't believe there was a connection as both being religious to begin with, and the fact that them being religious is going to have a conceptual some conceptual correlations that we could use to communicate to foster ethical humanitarian discourse, there's no point in us even undertaking this endeavor. We're undertaking an endeavor because we think there's a correlation to be used, and that we think there's a benefit to what we're doing. We think that there's gems, there's wealth, and there's enrichment to these proceedings in terms of reading this and discussing it. We think there's enrichment there. So yeah, we do think there's enrichment here. We think there's a connection. We think there's enrichment.
Mm. All right. In other words, this phrase gives us a clear intimation of the transcendent source of the vision enjoyed by the Buddha. even if in the Buddhist perspective one refuses to name this transcendent source. So yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
this yeah.
Could it be veiled? That's what I'm saying. Can the personal God be actually esoteric in Buddhism? That's the same thing he's trying to say too. I see where that argument. I see a glimpse of how that can be. I mean, I'm not saying that's the case, but I see something there. You understand? That's why I said, is it possible that the personal God can be esoteric in Buddhism?
Right, right. So this refusal stems from the fear of reifying, reifying,
Verifying it. Wait. Stems from the fear. Where you at? I'm trying to find that.
make something abstract or concrete or real. Okay, so make this transcendent source of enlightenment that is turning it into an object. Yes, for in reality, it's the supreme source of all consciousness, which cannot in any way be given a name and a form without diminishing one's receptivity to it as the ultimate reality. Being the very substance of all thought, it cannot be object of thought. Right. It's nonetheless
Yeah,
objective in relation to human subjectivity. And that is why the Buddha refers to the divine eye, which surpasses human modes of cognition. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
no. See, but he's still saying that. So basically, trying to say that Buddhism just disagrees with Muslim modality in nomenclature, but it could be doing the same thing. That's what he's basically what he's saying. The only difference is they're not using a personal name because they think is a limitation. Where Islam doesn't think. Islam thinks. Cause look, in Islam, the names of God are given to us as a mercy. For our understanding, it's a mercy to us. But 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 um
Mm,
but um but basically, according to the author, what I'm gathering is he saying that the Buddhists might have the supreme God be esoterically in their tradition, but it's not the names are not given, or they're not given or not used or whatever. Like, I mean, which cannot be in any way be given a name. So basically, names are not, for lack of a better word, attributed or not used or utilized in the Buddhist tradition for a particular reason that the Islamic don't find necessary to do, because they look at the names as a mercy from God. So so yeah, so I see there is that's a good correlation. I'm not, and that's more to the point of, just because the religions are not the same, just because they don't have the same theology, doesn't necessarily mean we both can't call them religions, and we can even find things deeper in religions that have more and more connection if we look at both of them as religions, as religions and transcendent philosophies for people to live by. If we have that platform, we can dig deeper and find even more and more connections all the way to the bottom of reality.
mm, hmm.
Yep.
All right. Shit, I scrolled away from where I was. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Okay, you like the transcendent, the
I,
transcendent.
I, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
the
right. The
transcendent
transcendent.
objectivity, which the transcendent objectivity of the source of enlightenment reveals itself through and as immanent consciousness of the one enlightened, the Buddha. At first sight, it may seem that the Islamic conception of prophecy, nubuwah, contradicts the Buddhist conception of enlightenment, bodhi. In Islam, the function of prophecy devolves upon particular individuals chosen by God, and nobody can aspire to the status of prophecy or participate in its functions. In Buddhism, by contrast, it is stated that enlightenment was not bestowed upon him by any external objective divinity, it sprang up from his own innermost substance, and his state of enlightenment is attainable by all in principle. This point of view succinctly expressed in the following text from the Pali Canon. Here we go. Therefore, O Ananda, be ye lamps unto yourselves, be a refuge unto yourselves. Betake yourselves to no external refuge. Hold fast to the truth as a lamp. Hold fast as a refuge to the truth. It is they, Ananda, who shall reach the very topmost height. I just want to see
No.
the source on that.
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk about that real quick because actually, this sounds a lot like a lot of things we speak about in even in the Quran. You know that? Like for example, we have the word siraj, meaning lamp. That's how God in the Quran describes the believers as lamps for God's light. The same way he calls it siraj, he calls it the lamps, right? And then he also says hold fast to the truth. That's what he talk about us, the cord of truth. He's like wa atasimu bil habli jamiyya wa tafaraku, right? We know
Mm,
that verse in the Quran in Surah Imran, verse 103, you know, and yeah, so they're using very similar language. And then also I want to go back to the thing. Enlightenment, Marifa, is not necessarily just for the prophets in Islam. The prophets are the ones who conveyed the message, conveyed the order, conveyed the Aqidah, right? But they're not the only ones who achieve enlightenment. Marifa is achieved by the friends of God. Anna knows about this a lot. That's one of that's that he knows about the concept of Marifa. So Anna could talk about it on the chat. Anna explains people Marifa is, but enlightenment not necessarily for the prophets. Enlightenment for all the friends of God can achieve enlightenment. It's not necessarily for the prophets. So that's one thing that Arthur has to gets wrong or I think goes into error. Because Marifa enlightenment is not for the prophets. The prophets are to give a message. You know what I'm saying? They have a message to give, but enlightenment is beyond the prophecy. Enlightenment is not contained by it's not contained by Nubawa. Nubawa is a tool for enlightenment, but that's not what contains enlightenment.
mm. Oh, that was his last sermon that he said that, or his last sutta that he gave before he died. Uh, okay. The idea of seeking no external refuge and being a refuge unto oneself appears to fly in the face of the Quranic insistence on total dependence of God and upon his revelation conveyed by his chosen prophet. And any attempt to be independent is severely censured. Read in the name of your Lord who created man from a clot. Read, and your Lord is most bounteous. He who taught by the pen taught man what he knew not, but nay, verily man is rebellious, and that he deems himself independent unto your Lord is indeed the return. 96, 1 through 8.
Yeah, that's the first verse revealed. That's the first surah revealed.
Oh,
Read
okay.
the name of the Lord created you. Yeah, that's the first Ikra. But yeah, I mean, okay, keep going, keep going.
However, it can be argued that the Buddha's enlightenment comprises two aspects, one of which was proper to him alone, the other which is universally accessible. The first aspect can indeed be regarded as the source of his prophecy. To use Islamic terms, the message or sasana, which formed the basis of Buddhist tradition. In this respect, no other sage or prophet is conceivable in the Buddhist tradition, and none can attain to his status as regards what in Islam would be called his risala, his message. So wait, what? First aspect can be the source of his prophecy, which formed the basis of the Buddhist tradition.
Yeah.
What does he mean? No
Okay.
other sage or
Okay,
prophet
let me
is
see. Let me
conceivable
read.
in the Buddhist tradition.
Let me read it again. However, it can be argued that the Buddha's enlightenment comprised two aspects. One of which was proper to him alone. The other was universally accessible. And that's what I'm saying about the Nabawi, and Marifa, and being the Awliya, being the friends of God. The friends is the same thing in Islam. I mean, it's not the same. It's not. I mean, I'm not saying the same thing, but it's analogous. Okay. The first
Mm.
aspect can be the first aspect can be indeed regarded as the source of his prophecy, to use Islamic terms, the message or sasana, which form the basis of the Buddhist tradition. That's why the prophets had the same thing. The Wabawi makes our tradition, makes our religion, but that's not enlightenment. Enlightenment is achieved outside of prophecy. Okay, in this respect, no other sage or prophet is conceivable to the in the Buddhist tradition, and none can attain his status. That same thing we say about the prophet. He's a seal. Don't get me wrong. We differ in certain things. We differ in that all the prophets are equal, right? We say from Adam to Muhammad are equal in prophecy, but we say Muhammad is the seal of the prophecy, represents all of them. So it's different. Don't get me wrong. It's different religions, right? There's different things, right? But they're very much comparable. You know what I'm saying? It seems comparable.
Mm.
I'm not saying they're identical. I'm not saying they're the same. I'm not saying they're not distinct. They're two distinct religions, but it's obviously comparable to me, right there, right? Next, no other sage or prophet is conceivable in the Buddhist tradition, and none can attain his status as regards what in Islam would be called his risala, his message. In regards to the second, the enlightenment he obtained was indeed made accessible in principle to all those who followed his teachings. This corresponds to what in Islam is called it's called walaya. Yeah, walaya is the awliya. That means the friends of God. The same word walaya, the friends of God. That's what I'm trying to say. It's the same thing. So he contradicts. He does that a lot though. He will say something and it contradicted right back and act like it's not like he didn't just say the opposite of what he just said. He did it. He does it early. Remember he does that a lot. He's like he tries to make it. I don't know. It's a lot of confusion in how he writes it. Even though he's bringing up good points, it's so much. He just you see what I'm saying? That was look
Mhm.
what he just said. He just contradicts. It's almost like he just contradicts himself all the time.
Yeah, that's
You
a
you hear what I'm saying, right? You understand what I'm saying?
yeah, I get.
I'll be like, what? Because look, see, he should have said this the whole time. This is what he should have said instead of adding all that other nonsense. He should have just came right to that part.
Mhm.
He likes adding a bunch of nonsense. And he likes adding a bunch of nonsense all the time. He just like adds
Yeah.
a bunch of nonsense, and he gets in between the argument being solid. It's messing up his argument because he adds a bunch of nonsense. It's just because yet that's right.
Like
If the same
it's too
corresponds.
try hard. Like it's try hard, and but he could just get to it. All right.
Where are you at? Okay, in regards, let's start with in regards, right?
Okay. In regard to the second, the enlightenment he attained was indeed made accessible in principle to all those who followed his teachings. This corresponds to what in Islam they called walaya, sanctified consciousness.
Wale means okay. It literally means being a friend of God, like a
Okay.
saint. It's a saint. It's like saint conscious. Like for example, me. Like for example, in my camp, Halakulis Kama, we consider all of our people, the people of Walea. So like I'm
Hmm.
considered a wali. I'm considered a saint in my school. I'm a saint.
Hmm.
We consider all our people. We have Walea and we have Bara, and we dissociate from the people that we consider doomed. But everybody who's saved is a saint. The saints are the ones that are going to be in paradise. We're the people of paradise.
Okay.
Yep.
The prophet was both Rasul and Wali, messenger and saint. In respect of the first, his status is unique, and none can aspire to it. As regards the second, one who does not aspire to sanctification is heedless of the meaning of the prophet as role model and example. There is indeed for you in the messenger of God a beautiful exemplar. 33:21.
Yes,
In
yes,
other
yes. 33. That's Azab. I think 33 is Azab. But yeah, 33 is probably is Azab. Let me see 33. Hope I'm not getting it wrong. Please, God forgive me if I say my soul is wrong. I hate that stuff. Don't let the
it's all
don't
right.
want God to curse me if I said yeah. But 33 is Azab. But yeah, yes, yes. And to piggyback on that verse in Azab, there's one the pig. Hey, to piggyback, yeah, Azab, I'm getting it right. To piggyback on that verse, there's also a famous that he said was about Isan, right? And the same thing what he says about the beautiful exemplar. Yes, the prophet is our beautiful exemplar. We actually call him Al Burhan, I mean the example of the religion. Yes, and also, and he's a beautiful example. Why? Because Burhan should also be accompanied with Isan. Isan means the beauty in religion. Like Isan is what um is, and Isana was described as a prophet as related by his companion Umar ibn Khattab, is worshiping God as if you see him, even though you can't see him. No, they always watches. He always sees you. That's Isan, and also the prophet peace and blessing upon him is known to have said that God commands Isan, meaning excellence or perfection of religion. What I just said, always watching God, always know that He's with you. He commands that in everything. He said He commands that in everything. So if He commands in everything, more especially going to command it in his worship of him. So yeah. So basically, to make a long story short, God has commanded all the If you're really a Muslim, you're supposed to be a saint. He's commanded you to be a saint. That's following the example. If you really follow the real sunnah of the prophet, you're living as a saint.
Mm, okay. In other words, while the specific message which defines the prophetic function is indeed bestowed upon him alone, his sanctity, by contrast, can be the object of aspiration for all. In principle, who follow his sunnah, indeed, emulating the prophet, culminates for the highest saints in a real participation, to some degree at least, in the prophet's own sanctity, his walaya being the source of the walaya of saints, the friends of God, awliya, Allah,
Awliya, the awliya Allah,
awliya,
the awliya.
are saints then, but not prophets. They are enlightened beings, but not messengers of God.
Like for example, Al Kama, my camp, all of us are waliya. Like we're the
Mm,
waliya. That's how we consider. That's how we look at ourselves. We're Al Jamaa, we're Al Waliya, and it's not like the his Waliya being the source of the saints. It's not his Waliya. It's God's Waliya. It's Awliya Allah. You know what I'm trying to say? It's God is, but Prophet he himself is God's friend too. We all friends of God, and the Prophet is our Mualim. There was a
mm,
messenger. He came and teach us. Don't get me wrong. It's almost like the Muslims, especially my camp, Allah Kama. We look at ourselves as being the friends of God, in communion with God, being in His party. We call it Hezbollah, the party of God, and we believe that the it's almost like we're in a constant cipher with God and the prophet all the time. He's our cipher master, but we're in a cipher with him all the time. We and the prophet are always ciphering, even though he's dead. He's still with us in the ciphering. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's still our imam. You know what I'm saying? It's like
mm-hmm,
he's still our imam. He's still our minister. He's still. It's almost like a study circle. It's almost like the study circle of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, is still in effect. We still
mm-hmm,
ciphering with him right now. That's Islam. We're ciphering with him even after he's died. We're still in a discussion. We're still in his cipher. We're still in his think tank.
right. Okay. It may be objected here that this enlightenment constitutes precisely the revelation experienced by the Buddha, and that this surging up of enlightenment from within cannot be equated with the descent, tanzil, of revelation from on high. In the first case, it would be argued the knowledge acquired comes from oneself, at however a deep level of consciousness, and is thus subjective. In the second, the knowledge bestowed comes from without and is thus objective. Moreover, in the one, there is no mention of divinity, only a deeper dimension of the self, whereas the other, any hint of that the revelation has anything to do with the person of the prophet is heretical. One can resolve this dilemma with the help of two fundamental principles, one of which we have mentioned above, pertaining to what the Buddha called the divine eye, and the other, the fundamental notion of anatta, or no self. To address briefly the latter, this doctrine is one is known as one of the three marks in Buddhist doctrine, the other two being dukkha and anicca, impermanence. These three marks of existence,
Dukkha is suffering,
oh,
everybody.
sorry, skipped that suffering, complement the Four Noble Truths and, in particular, explain the mechanism of suffering. That which suffers is not a permanent self, but the various perishable aggregates of which individual beings are composed. These aggregates attach themselves to objects which are likewise perishable, and their very impermanence ensures that the aggregates of the being attached to them will experience the phenomenon of suffering. As regards anatta, the Buddha explains to his disciple Ananda in the meaning of the statement, "The world is empty," in the following way: "It is empty, Ananda, of a self or of anything of the nature of a self. And what is it that is thus empty? The five seats of the five senses, and the mind, and the feeling that's related to the mind. All these are void of a self or anything that is self like."
Hey, hold on, wait. I want to answer something from Johnny. I think it's a good question, right?
Hmm.
He's saying that he's commenting is if it's really is if it's really connected if he's trying to question the connection of the Buddhahood to prophecy, right? But see, the author didn't say it was the same as prophecy. I want to make sure he understands it. He's saying that it can be compared to it because it was the Buddhahood was something special that was given to the Buddha, right? And the same way our prophets are something special, especially our prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, as being the seal of the prophet. So what I'm trying to say is that they both had some special thing in the religion or in the tradition that is special to them, right? The Buddha is special in the tradition of Buddhism, and Muhammad, the prophet, is special in the tradition of Din al-Islam, right? So that's the comparable thing. He's not saying it's the same thing that the Buddhahood and Nabawood are the same thing. We're just saying, I mean, he's saying it's comparable, and I can agree to it on the standpoint of both being religions and in a comparative religious standpoint. There are comparable figures in their respective religions, right? You agree with me, Jen?
Hmm.
Yep. Okay, that's all. I just want to clarify that for Johnny John. Just because we're comparing it, we're not saying the same thing. Just because we're comparing stuff, you understand?
Right, right. We're just, right.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear because I mean it's a good question though, just to clarify for everybody. It was a good question for clarification.
Okay. It should be immediately apparent that, in good Buddhist logic, if there is no permanent abiding self, Gautama the man cannot be accused of having brought to the surface of his specific consciousness anything residing in the innermost depths of his self, as will be seen shortly. A fundamental tenet of Buddhist belief is that all individual dharmas are baseless, empty, and illusory. So this applies first and foremost to the individual self. Only the Dharma, absolutely transcending the individual, is real. We say absolutely for the two domains, such and such Dharma on the one hand and the Dharma as such on the other are incommensurable. It is like the difference between light and darkness.
I mean that's something you have to explain as dharmic religion. So only the Dharma. Let's read it again. Let me read it. I'm gonna read it one more time. Only the Dharma, only the Dharma, absolutely transcending the individual is real. Again, only the Dharma, absolutely transcending the individual, is real, right? We shall absolutely, we say absolutely for the for the two domains, such and such a dharma on one hand, so that's like the Buddhist dharma, whatever I'm guessing, and the dharma as such, so that means the transcendent one are incommensurable. It is like the difference between light and darkness. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you might be doing. I think you might be separating esoteric and esoteric again. You know what I'm trying to say?
Mhm.
I think you might be trying to make a false separation that might not be there. I think they both might be the same thing. The both might be transcendent. But that's what I'm trying to say. And then it goes back to the point I was trying to make earlier. It looks like pantheism might be fundamental to dharmic religions. It looks like it might be. From my, I'm showing where my suspicion. You see what I'm trying to say? This is where my suspicion is coming from because I see what he's saying, but I think he's wrong for trying to separate the esoteric and esoteric. I mean, he's trying to make the two sides of the same coin be like two different things when it's not. You know what I'm trying to say?
Mhm.
But I think there's something to that, in that I think there is a God in dharmic religions, but it's somewhat pantheistic. I mean, it looks like it to me. I have my suspicion that it is. I know I'm saying something that's debatable, that's problematic, but hey, I'm showing what's That's the message of dharmic religions as I'm seeing it from this reading and before everything coming together right now as we speaking. It's screaming pantheism to me. That's my observation. It's screaming pantheism to me. Dharma and pantheism is screaming itself as something synonymous or analogous or something to it, or some intrinsic inseparable connection to me as I'm being exposed to these things in dharmic relations.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. That last part there kind of lost me, but let's see if he explains it more.
Yeah, because you're not.
If
It lost. It lost because I told you why. Because I think he separated things that shouldn't be separated. I think
hmm,
for no reason. It was an unforced error. He makes a lot.
yeah,
He made some good points. He makes a lot of unforced errors.
hmm. All right. If the Buddha's enlightenment taught him that the empirical self is an illusion, the source of that enlightenment cannot possibly be the empirical self, for this self is rendered illusory in the light of that very enlightenment. The relative self cannot reveal the relativity of the self. The revelation of this relativity must, on the contrary, be derived from something absolute, being that which alone can reveal the self to be illusory, and that something absolute can only be the objective principle whence all consciousness, life, and being flow. This principle must radically transcend the particular man, Gautama Shakyamuni. In other words, we arrive at the inescapable conclusion that Gautama, as a human being, could only have attained his enlightenment by virtue of an objective principle infinitely transcending his own humanity, and that objective principle is the source of all revelation, that in which Islam is called Allah. All right,
Yeah,
I
I
get
mean,
what they're saying. So if they're saying that nothing is self, and his, oh God, that's like one of those like moments, like how you call it? So like if he's saying that there's no self, then his knowledge couldn't possibly come from self, because how could you tell yourself there's no self? You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those.
it has to be. He had to latch to some type of objectivity, and they could call that God. But see.
Yeah.
See, my only problem is what Islam calls Allah. They might call it Allah, but you might say that they're wrong about Allah. So they trying to say that there is a theology. There could a theology can be what's the word? It can be um exercise, not exercise, or can be extracted or extrapolated from Buddhism if looked at it in a certain way. But I would add a caveat that doesn't make their theology anything similar to Islamic theology.
Mm, okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So
One can distinguish between enlightenment as such and the specific contents or the message, the risala, conveyed through that enlightenment, by means of which others can be helped to achieve enlightenment themselves. The
yeah,
conquerors
yeah.
are masters of various and manifold means whereby the Tathagata reveals the supreme light to the world of gods and men, means adapted to their temperaments and prejudices. In light of the above discussion, we can interpret this verse from the Sadharma Pundarika Sutra as follows. The revelation of the Tathagata is the revelation of Buddha nature, Buddha Dhatu, the principle. And see, they're mixing like, I think like this is Sanskrit, this is like a Zen, and then Shakyamuni is like more like a Japanese. So they're like mixing all these different like it's that's why I'm having a hard time finding these references because this should be, but like some of them are Sanskrit, some of them are freaking Pali. Um,
He's going in though.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so which is Takatha is a revelation of Buddha nature, the principle, and not Shakyamuni, the man. It is the revelation of the Absolute, which is bestowed upon human communities in the form of a sasana dispensation, communicated by an upaya,
Yeah, so Sasana
skillful
is almost like a revelation. It's almost like a kitab. He's trying to say this Sasana. I hope he don't try to tell me this Sasana the same as the
adapted to
kitab.
their conditions. Mm,
It might be, but I mean, see, it doesn't make him al kitab. Just because there's something similar, you might think it won't make him al kitab. I hope you don't try to say because they have a Sasana that makes him al kitab. It might be like an al kitab, but it's not gonna. I mean, it's not gonna. As I don't see them. I mean, I hope he doesn't make that super stretch. You know what I'm trying to say?
mm. Thomas Cleary, commenting upon the infinity and eternity of the Buddha, writes as follows. Enlightened guides present various teachings to people in according with their needs, potentials, and conditions. This principle of adaptation and the specific prescription known as skill in means. This is what I was talking about earlier, how he delivered messages to people like according to their skill and knowledge. This principle reminds one of the Quranic perspective, and we never sent a messenger save with the language of his people, so that he might make it clear to them. 14:4. Given these premises, it should be possible for Muslims to mount a serious argument in favor of the proposition that Buddha was a messenger of God, however much a designation be resisted by Buddhists themselves. By doing so, they will be reflecting the fact that many Buddhists are able to recognize the Prophet Muhammad as one of the individuals in whose mission the function of Dharmakaya was manifested, even if many Muslims themselves will resist such a designation.
Stretching like
According,
crazy, doing so much stretching.
yeah, yeah,
It's so much
yeah.
stretching. It's almost like, man, you're not connecting the real pieces together. You're just adding so much stretch. Like, why does
Yeah.
that have to stretch to something else? Like, okay, it's like so much stretching, so much stretching. Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah, and see, all right. Perceiving an incarnation of the Dharmakaya in every spiritual leader, regardless of his nationality and professed creed. Mahayanas recognized a Buddha and Socrates, Muhammad, Jesus, Francis of Assisi, Confucius, Lotse, and many others. The Dalai Lama and the Dai. Oh, okay. Is that the second part? Or I'm just trying to say it's 11:08. Should we keep going or should we stop here? If
Um,
this is like the start of a new.
yeah, start a new thing. You want to stop here and then open it up?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's
Open it up
see
for a little
that.
bit if whoever want to come up. Okay, so the Dalai Lama and the dynamics of dialogue. Okay, so
I
that's what we're
wish
gonna
there was a
finish
way
up.
to like bookmark this. So 49, if
We
maybe.
know page 49. Oh yeah, 49. Yep, or 24 in the book with 49. Yep, 49. We remember that next time. Remember next time. How we go?
I'm
Okay,
gonna
hey,
put
we
it
should make
in
a
the
comment.
thing.
We should put it in the comments. Put in the comments. Stop at 49. The Dalai Lama and the dynamics of dialogue. That's what we get. We can make a comment. Put a comment on the video.
I put it in the Discord. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
you put in
cool.
this code. Okay, I see you.
All right, cool. So yeah, let me get the StreamYard link. Where are we at? I haven't looked at the chat in a long time. I'm sorry, guys. So let me get this.
And then come on, and then hey, come online, come on with us, and then when the chat come through, I
Oh
sent you the
my
thing
god, I
link
missed
myself.
so many comments.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading the comments though. It wasn't. What comment did you want to see that you didn't see? Well, you can still answer them. We'll get on the live. You can still answer the
Uh,
comments. You can still look back.
Big up, Victor. I didn't see you there. Up, Johnny. Good evening, morning. Yeah, big up, big up. So yeah, if anyone wants to jump on, there's the link. Smash the link if you want to come tell us how wrong this is or what
I
any
mean, don't get me
issues you
wrong.
have.
There's some good highlights in it though, but he adds so much stuff that he messes up his arguments. The man brother's book is garbage.
Wow, really? Like, is it that bad? Is it so
I mean, I
bad?
mean,
Like, to try
I
to
mean, don't get
find,
me
like,
wrong.
it is, there is a
No, not
lot of fucked up shit. Like, I believe it. I mean, sorry, excuse my language. Yes, there is a lot of reaching, and there's a
there's a
lot
lot
of
of reaching
story.
going on.
Yeah, yeah. There's Dalsim reaching going on. Like, like, yeah, it's, but I mean, that we're giving it a shot, you know? Like, some of
Yeah,
the
he
points
gave it a
we can
shot. Yeah.
see. Yeah, some of the
The thing
points I
about it
can see.
though, what I'm thinking about it though is like some like for example, I mean, this book could be rewritten, bro, a lot better. You know what I'm trying to say? It could be it was it's so much things that you could actually use to build without reaching. You know what I'm trying to say? And you
Yeah,
put it too,
yeah.
but the reaching makes it makes the argument not gel together. It's not gelling together the way it should be gelling together because of all the excessive reaching things he puts in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Like, too much of that.
Hey, watch religion is a shot in the dark. It's not a shot in the dark. Watch religion. It's actually. I mean, this is some. He actually has an aim. It's not a shot in the dark. It actually is. It actually is things
I mean,
that.
he goes to lengths to try to, like, make these connections, which I could see, you know, like, but he does go to, like, he goes to lengths and.
They ain't come on yet. The watch the religion and James, you ain't come on yet. Anan, I wish you would come on, Anan. I wish you'd come on too, Anan. Carter, come on. Just don't cuss.
Mhm.
I know Carter said he don't want. He said he has to. He said he well, just don't cuss Carter, whatever. Just try to. Aduki, come on, Aduki. You come on here all night.
Iduki, come on. Iduki.
He ain't come on the panel in 4 years. He ain't coming on my panel.
Well, Iduki ain't coming 4 years.
He been in the chat for years. He ain't coming on the panel. Don't know what the target is. Well, the target is, I guess, to find some common ground. Why so religious? Maybe people are tired of beefing all the damn time over religion. Maybe people don't enjoy that shit. You know
Okay,
what I'm
don't want to
saying?
come on. We can keep reading it. Don't want to come on.
All right, yeah, fuck it. Oops, sorry, jeez, so bad.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Pelu said, Mr. Pelu, a very common view in the East for many thousand years is Sarvadharma Samar Bhava Shirit, or the idea that all religions are true and can be true. This article appears to be written. This article appears to be written. I mean, hey, that could be a view in the East. That's not the view everywhere though. But I'm saying, and if it can be adopted everywhere, we're gonna have to learn how to do it. That's gonna be a lot of technique to try to. That's a huge undertaking to try to prove that all religions are true. If you know a system to prove that, share it with us, and then come and share with us the system of how you could prove that.
I think Baha'i thinks something like that. They consider everything to be true. Baha'i, have you ever heard of that religion? They
Yeah, I
think
heard of the
every
Baha'i religion. I heard of it.
yeah from Eric. They think that all of them are, or they take from all of them. I think, or something like they consider all the prophets. But I think they consider themselves a Abrahamic religion. But they
Yeah,
have
because
their own scripture, their own prophets and stuff.
it comes out of Iran, and they had a it was a Shia world that came out of, so it came out of a because it came in stages, because first it had the Babism, and then it had Baha'ism. It evolved, but it basically it came out of Iran during the Shia times, under people who are nominally Shia clerics who broke off and did their own thing.
Yeah. So, why so religious? If you don't understand the purpose, I urge you to go back and listen to the first show where the whole forward basically says that they're going to reach and try to find common ground so that we could just engage in ethical humanitarian discourse. So, yeah, that's the purpose of the book, man. But yeah, we could keep going if no one's going to jump on.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm the one who threw in the ethical humanitarian because I said that's the point of us doing it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, using the book. Yeah, we can keep reading. Yeah, if no one wants to jump on, at least we tell everybody, we give everybody an opportunity to come on and talk. So we'll read a little bit more. So no one wants to jump on. We'll just do a whole reading session. We'll just bang out a lot of reading today until it's time for us to shut it down. We'll just read, get through.
All right. The Dalai Lama and the dynamics of dialogue. Finally, let us return to the Quranic verse cited above, and the importance of which for the principle and practice of interfaith dialogue cannot be overestimated. And once again, I think this is the same thing for each of your communities. We've established the law in a way, and God willed He could have made you one community, but in order that He might try you by that which He has given you, He has made you as you are. So vie with one another in good works. Unto God you all will return, and He will inform you of that about which you differed. 548. We are enjoined by this verse to engage in a healthy competition with those whose paths are different from our own. The very differences are themselves part of the foundation for the competition. But the competition is in relation to good works, karyat, and there is no dispute or disagreement about
Kaira,
what
Kaira,
good karya, and
Kaira, the
kaira,
good
kaira.
charity. Yep.
Okay. And there's no dispute or disagreement about what goodness is. It's
No,
immediate.
and that's wrong too.
You can't say that. It's more. Okay, that could be true, but he hasn't proved that. You know what I'm saying? He's just making a claim. He's throwing a claim. There's no disagreement on what goodness is. Like that's just a claim. I'm not saying it's not true, but that's just a claim that you know what I'm saying. He just throwing out a claim
Mm.
because every religion probably have their own aesthetics. Islamic aesthetic is not going to be the same as Buddhist. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. Let me give you a perfect example right now. In Islam, right? Celibacy is a sin. Monkiness is a sin. Being a monk is a sin. Any form of
Really?
monasticism is a yes. Monasticism is a sin in Islam. Monasticism is a sin. Celibacy is a sin. I'm not saying you should fornicate, but Islam encourages marriage. It said marriage is half your deen.
But I heard that saying wasn't even in the Quran. Marriage is half your deed.
It's a hadith, but still, is not a marriage not a sacrament, but it's considered it's considered an imperative. It's definitely an imperative in
So
Islam.
if somebody chooses not to get married and they choose not to engage in fornication, they're going to be punished for that.
Yes, yeah, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that
So
at
they're
all. It's
forced
very
people
makruh.
to have
It's very
sex.
makruh.
How are
Yes,
you
because
going
that's
to?
natural. It's natural. The only reason why you shouldn't do that is something's wrong with you. If nothing is wrong with your health, you're not supposed to do that. You shouldn't live that not on purpose. You shouldn't willfully is yeah okay willful celibacy and willful monasticism is sinful in Islam if you do it willfully. It's about your intention though, but if you do it willfully, it's a sin.
Mm. Hmm. I don't know. That's
Yeah, there's no monasticism in Islam. There's no monastic, even Muslim said it. Yeah, even passing truth. I'm not saying everything passing truth says is true, but a well-known saying of the Prophet Muhammad is no monasticism in Islam. There's no monasticism. There's asceticism. Some asceticism is good. We have austerity. We have asceticism, but we don't have monasticism. There's no celibacy. There's no monasticism. Celibacy is a sin. Yes, celibacy. To be willfully celibate, to like choose that I'm gonna be celibate and not just to refrain from getting married, refrain from having sex is a sin.
I don't know. Like I didn't.
No, I'm not.
So that's
I'm
like
not saying that
encouraging
Buddhism
people to give into
marriage.
desires of the flesh.
Yes, but the flesh is not a bad thing in Islam. It's natural. It's like saying you the flesh is not okay. In Islam, your physical body is an angel.
Hmm.
Your physical body is an angel. The physical creation is not a bad thing in Islam. The flesh is not a bad. Islam doesn't have the concept of flesh. The flesh is good.
Mm.
Islam is not against the natural processes that humans go through. You understand? They see that as a natural process. You understand? They see sex, reproduction, and you're supposed to be fruitful and multiply. You're supposed to go have babies. Islam is a fertile religion.
Hmm.
It doesn't have its celibacy, and that's one thing. That's what I say that we agree upon was good. No, we don't agree upon was good. Just but that's one example. We don't agree upon the issue of monasticism and celibacy. Well,
Hmm.
they believe that's good in Buddhism. We don't. So exactly, just because we compare religions, don't mean religions are the same. Don't mean they have the same aesthetics. And that's why I have to disagree. We have totally different views. What I mean by aesthetic, I mean views of what's beautiful, of views of what's good. We have two different world views and it's obvious just by and that's one example of how but of course there's probably many more, right? I'm just giving you one example. We have two different worldviews and two different aesthetics or views of what makes something good or what makes something beautiful is and that's one example. I know there's many more, but that's one glaring example. We
Mm.
don't have monasticism, we don't have no type of celibacy or monasticism is allowed in Islam, not willfully without a medical reason.
Okay. So it is immediately
Hey, wait.
recognizable.
I gotta say one thing real quick. Let me say one thing real quick. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Hey, watch this. I'm wrong. Said Muslims are to be to practice celibacy in marriage, or until you have a slave, then it's okay to have sex out of marriage. Okay, you're not even understanding. They don't have that's not celibacy. Chastity is not necessarily celibacy. You know what I'm trying to say? Chastity is not having sex outside of marriage, not fornicating. It doesn't mean that you should be celibate. It's two different things to be celibate. You understand? Because you're supposed to go get married. That's supposed to avoid marriage or avoid sex.
you're supposed to get married. That's not celibacy and chastity is two different things. Because celibacy is when you commit yourself to not having sexual relationships. You can't commit yourself to not having a sexual relationship. You can't say I'm not having sex.
But like, what if somebody was like, what if a woman like was raped and she doesn't want to have sexual encounters anymore for the rest of her life? Like that's a common thing among
Well,
women,
you should get
you
over it.
know. Like,
Okay, for
she
things
should
like that,
just
of
get
course.
over it and
No,
go
wait,
have
wait, we're
some
not.
guy's babies. Like some start
It's
spitting out babies for some
no.
guy.
Hey, Jen. It's not like that. Listen, to what I'm saying, right? That's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. Something's a tragedy. I'm not saying there's no tragedy in life, right? That's the but I'm speaking to okay, more broadly. I'm speaking to what good is, right? We saying what's good. We all have. He's trying to say that we have an idea of what's good. We don't have the same idea of what's good because we have two different aesthetics that have two different ideals. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not saying that it's not things that going
Hmm.
wrong with that. I've been saying somebody has a medical reason. If somebody's traumatized, trauma is a medical is a health problem. You understand?
Hmm.
I did say that from the get go, right? If there's a medical, if there's a health, if there's a medical reason, but bro, broadly speaking, there's some health reason. If you're traumatized, that's one thing. I'm not trying to negate there's any health reasons why people won't have sex. I'm not trying to negate that. And I made that clear from the get go. If there's a reason for it, that's one thing. It's willfully doing with it without a reason behind it. You know what I'm trying to say? If you're
Hmm.
traumatized and something happens, that's different, and you need to get help for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I know all the answers, right? But of course,
Hmm.
that's not a natural condition, and that's something you need therapy for or need some type of healing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I know the right answer. I'm not saying that, but I know you need healing. I'm not saying I'm the healer of that. You know what I'm saying? And why I know the proper method of healing, but that's a traumatic situation, and that results healing. You understand?
Hmm.
But I'm speaking towards ideals and aesthetics. You understand? Aesthetically, Islam looks to marriage. You understand? It looks to marriage. It looks to procreation. It looks to having children. It looks to being fruitful. You understand?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
And celibacy is outside of Islamic aesthetics. It's totally
Mhm.
outside of Islamic aesthetics. If with that, but I'm not saying that things don't happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that medical reasons, health reasons, psychological reasons don't happen. I'm not saying that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. All right, let's dialogue between different religious believers from this point of view should generate a healthy competition aimed at goodness, which is always and everywhere the same, however different the religious starting points. This Quranic view of the purpose and goal of dialogue resonates deeply with the stated aims of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. In his numerous writings and speeches, the Dalai Lama stresses not only that different religions must remain faithful to their respective traditions, but also that they all, without exception, aim at values which are self evidently kairat. So many
Kaida.
forms, kairat. Yeah, so many forms of goodness. Whereas the religions of the world are very different from each other in terms of philosophical doctrines, he writes, in terms of training the mind, all major religions are the same. They all have the same potential to transform the human mind. A clear indication of this is that all major religious traditions carry the message of love, compassion, forgiveness, contentment, and self discipline.
Now everything you're saying is debatable, but they're all comparable. We can compare religion, but I'm saying I
Hmm.
do see where even what the Dalai Lama is saying is debatable. You know what I'm saying? It's debatable in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I still think it's good that we still find common ground and see and investigate the similarities. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's not debatable. I'm saying I totally see how you could debate what he's saying. I totally see it. I'm not saying it's not debatable, but I think it's still good to see the to find the underlying the underlying currents.
He enforces the Quranic concept of spiritual competition in his important paper, Harmony, Dialogue, and Meditation, delivered at the famous Gethsemane encounter, which brought Christian and Buddhist monks together in dialogue in July 1996 in Gethsemane, Kentucky. While urging all participants to avoid the temptation to engage in advertisement for one's own tradition and to guard against a certain kind of unhealthy competition, which he maintains nonetheless. But I think we should have one kind of constructive competition. The Buddhists should implement what we believe in daily life, and our Christian brothers and sisters should also implement their teachings in daily life. Implementation of belief is central to the Dalai Lama's vision of the transformative power of practice. It is insofar as each side would like to be better practitioners so that the competition between them is constructive and not destructive.
And I sort of agree with that because we should be constructive and not destructive. You
Hmm.
understand? So I
Yeah,
agree
all
with the
should we
theme.
strive to be like bet. This is like literally like competition to like to all be good people, like to all
Yeah,
follow our
yeah.
faith and to all be really, really like try to outdo each other in goodness, you
And
know?
and the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him. If you know anything about Islam, this same sentiment is repeated a lot by the Prophet, and the Quran is repeated a lot. We're supposed to be the sabakun. We're supposed to be a race to do good. You know what I'm trying to say? They call us sabikun those who race, those who go forward, those who come first, those who race to do good. You understand? We're supposed to vie with each other in good works. This said a lot. This is over and over in the Quranic tradition and in the prophetic tradition and in the entire Islamic tradition. The same sentiment or comparable sentiment is reiterated continuously and is a basis of our identity. We're supposed to be the mutakina imama, meaning the leaders of the God fearing. So we're charged to be excellent. And if you want to look at it as a competition, it's fine because even in Islamic sense, it is described in a similar manner that we should vie for goodness. We should basically compete. Yes, we should try each other. We should test each other. We should push each other. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like you push. It's like a pushing. We should push each other to be better people. That's exactly even what Dawa is, inviting people to do the best and telling them to move away from what's wrong. It's all
Hmm.
about the same thing because it's about our interaction, and our interaction should be constructive. We should use our energies, our vying, our energies, our competitiveness to build a better world, and it's about channeling these natures. You know what I'm saying? Channeling our drives for excellence and betterment of humanity. And so that sentiment is something agreeable. I find agreeable.
Cool. For the Dalai Lama, the very process by which one deepens the practice of one's own tradition illuminates the truth and wisdom of other traditions. For the spiritual experience consequent upon deeper practice enables one to see the value of other traditions. Therefore, to promote religious harmony, one should look into one's own tradition seriously and implement it as much as possible. If, by contrast, one restricts oneself to the purely theoretical aspects of one's tradition, then the values which bring human beings together in goodness will be eclipsed by dogmatic coagulations. All religions teach a message of love, compassion, sincerity, and honesty. Each system seeks in its own way to improve life for us all. Yet, if we put too much emphasis on our own philosophy, religion, or theory, becoming too attached to it, and try to impose it on other people, the result will be trouble. Basically, all the great teachers, including Gautama Buddha, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, and Moses, were motivated by a desire to help their fellow beings. They did not seem to gain anything for themselves, nor to create more trouble in the world.
Now, again, everything you're saying is debatable, but I like the sentiment. I find the sentiment agreeable. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying what he says is debatable. You know what I'm saying? There's so many you could pick up on every point and try to debate it. You know what I'm saying? But it's a good sentiment.
And that passage was from a different book that the Dalai Lama, or a different paper that he wrote called Widening the Circle of Love. So his message of dialogue on the spiritual dynamics underlying true dialogue is at once ethically simple and spiritually profound, eminently practicable and philosophically irrefutable. If you bring to life within yourself the fundamental values of your own religion, you will not only change yourself, you will also change the world.
That's big. I mean, the sentiment is agreeable. Of course, it's
Yeah.
debatable, but
Hmm.
the sentiment is. I agree with this. The sentiment behind it. I agree with the sensation is behind it. You know.
Yeah. Through your own kindness towards others, your mind and heart will open to peace. Expanding this inner environment to the larger community around you will bring unity, harmony, and cooperation. Expanding peace further still to nations and then to the world will bring mutual trust, mutual respect, and sincere communication and fully successful joint efforts to solve the world's problems. All this is possible, but first we must change ourselves, and each one of us is responsible for mankind. One is reminded here of the verse in the Quran: truly God will not change the condition of a people until they change the condition of their own souls. 13:11.
Yep. It reminds you of that. It does. It does. But I'm saying, it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. It's still debatable. Everything you're saying is debatable, but it's a good thing.
Yeah. The following passage expresses a compelling picture of the power of the dialogical dynamics that are unleashed by the sincere and ever deepening practice of one's own faith. Those who realize the deepest values of their own faith are referred to by the Dalai Lama again and again as practitioners, those who engage in the meditative dimensions of their faith alongside the philosophical ones, and it is they who constitute the most effective partners in authentic dialogue.
Yeah. You see, and that's what I've always been saying. You can't separate the esoteric from the exoteric. You know what I'm saying? That's what I
Hmm.
keep saying, and that's what Dalai Lama's saying. So yeah,
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
It is my belief that if prayer, meditation, and contemplation are combined in daily practice, the effect on the practitioner's mind and heart will be all the greater. One of the major aims and purposes of religious practice for the individual is an inner transformation from an undisciplined, untamed, unfocused state of mind towards one that is disciplined, tamed, and balanced. A person who has perfected the faculty of single pointedness will definitely have a greater ability to attain this objective. When meditation becomes an important part of your spiritual life, you're able to bring about this inner transformation in a more effective way. Once this transformation has been achieved, then in following your own spiritual tradition, you will discover that a kind of natural humility will arise in you, allowing you to communicate better with people from other religious traditions and cultural backgrounds. You're in a better position to appreciate the values and preciousness of other traditions because you've seen this value from within your own.
From within your own tradition. Yep. And I
Hmm.
agree with everything. I tell you, it's debatable. I could go point for point, but the sentiment is agreeable.
Yeah, if you do good in your prayers and you're sincere and you get into that, the I guess you could say esoteric aspect of it, or then it will help you become a better person, like, appreciate values and
Hey, Carter keeps saying deep, deep. You see, Carter's loving it. Yeah, I know Carter is deep, right? Yeah, we're going in. The Dalai Lama's going in. It's the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama's going in, man.
it
Dalai
is.
Lama's going in. Dalai Lama, yeah. Because Carter saying deep. You can highlight Carter. Highlight.
The Dalai Lama then adds a point of inestimable significance for understanding and overcoming the psychology underlying religious fundamentalism. Implicit in what he says here is that this kind of fundamentalism or exclusivism arises out of an inability not only to understand others' religion, but an inability to plumb the depths of one's own one's own religion.
That's true though, because if
Hmm.
you can't plumb the depth of your own, you know what I'm saying. A lot of people separate. They're not in tune. And I've been talking to Annan about this. In Islam, the way we say it is called fana, meaning death or extinction, but it also means when you trade. The point of death and extinction in spiritual death and extinction is mean when you trade this life for life in the world to come. It's like you if you haven't passed that bridge, if you haven't taken a leap of faith, it's like you're not really living in your religion. You know what I'm saying? You're not really living in faith.
Hmm.
Sometimes you gotta walk by faith and not by sight. You know what I'm saying? You have to take that leap of faith. You have to jump and leave this world for the next. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't done that, you're not really in. You can't really even understand anything really. It's almost like It's almost like you're not touching it. You're not tasting it. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? It's like you're totally out of connection to, but you want to represent something you're totally out of connection to.
Right. It's a fact. People often experience feelings of exclusivity in their religious beliefs, a feeling that one's own path is the only true path, which can create a sense of apprehension about connecting with others of different faiths. I believe the best way to counter this force is to experience the value of one's own path through a meditative life, which will enable one to see the value and preciousness of other traditions. It is then on the level of practice, both ethical and spiritual, that the Dalai Lama sees the religions of the world coming together in harmony while maintaining your own specific identities. Strongly opposed to any syncretism and any attempt to dissolve religious traditions within one universal religion, he instead invites us to participate actively in a vision of universal harmony based on the spirit of wisdom and compassion which emanates from the heart. I believe the purpose of all major religious traditions is not to construct big temples on the outside, but to create temples of goodness and compassion inside in our hearts. Every major religion has the potential to create this. The greater our awareness is regarding the value and effectiveness of other religious traditions, then the deeper will be our respect and reverence towards other religions. This is the proper way for us to promote genuine compassion and a spirit of harmony among the religions of the world. In what follows, we intend to make a humble contribution to this inspiring vision of interreligious harmony by bringing to light the common spiritual and ethical ground underlying the religions of Islam and Buddhism.
Wow, that
So
was a good.
that's
He
the
ended out
end of
strong
part
though.
one.
Ended
Yeah.
out strong. He ended out strong, even though it was weak. He ended out strong though.
Yeah, I think it did. It did. It saved itself at the end there.
He ended out strong, but he ended out strong. Wow, it's good. Ooh,
Yeah.
man.
It's like, I don't know, like, see, I feel like when you read the Dalai Lama's part, like he's
That's the Dalai Lama.
strictly
The Dalai Lama's stronger. The Dalai Lama's come. The Dalai Lama's coming with it because he's called Dalai Lama, and then Dalai Lama's coming. He's coming heavy. He coming heavy. He's a heavy
yeah,
hitter.
so like see, I feel like he don't need like he didn't make no disclaimers or nothing, like no stories or no
Exactly.
excuses or no reasons or no, like okay, I know it's different. Like he's straight into like, listen, you do your thing the way your thing tells you how to do it, and you'll be a better person. And I'm gonna do my thing the way my thing says I'm gonna do it, and then we can come together because we're both gonna be better people. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I feel like he's not trying to constantly justify the differences. You know what I'm
And the thing
saying?
about
Like,
the other guy doesn't do it good neither. He messes up. He does. Don't get me wrong. There's some because there is connection. So there's points to be made, and he's making the points on some level, but he throws in a bunch of nonsense and it messes it up. You know what I'm saying? It's like he does it to have to. He does it a little because it's there. Don't get me wrong. It's there. The
mm,
argument is there, but he's missing the ball by adding a bunch of whatever. You know what I'm saying? Instead of Dalai Lama
yeah,
hit it hard.
yeah,
You see, and exactly what you said. The Dalai Lama, he cut out the excess. He just hit you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He just hit you
yeah.
with it. He just hit you with it.
Yeah, right. Like, who cares what the differences are? Like, we're all trying to, like, we know what the differences are. Everybody been known, like, and this is just, yeah, man. I like that. I like that. I like that ending of part one. That was
Yeah,
good.
that was the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama is what saved the part one. The Dalai Lama saved it. It wasn't Arthur, but it was Dalai Lama. Lucky that he pulled the Dalai Lama out. He had to pull the heavyweight. He had to pull the heavy hitter out for the same
Oh,
part one. He had to pull the heavy hitter out at the end. Just had to pull it out and pull the Dalai Lama out for you.
oh
How you
my
like it
God.
now? He had to hit you with Dalai Lama.
My cats are fighting.
Yeah, but,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It was
Adnan said, they're fighting. They fight a lot. The men, the boys or girls.
Oh, no, no, no! I'm not talking about that. Forget them, man. They're always gonna fight in the background. Um, no,
Yeah,
so that was good. He expressed his sarva dharma well. Yeah,
yeah. What's Salvador Dharma? What's Salvador Dharma?
look that up and look that up. It says verse 66 of the Bhagavad Gita called the Song of God. Is that the title of it? Actual meaning. Let's see. Yeah, but Anand, if you could type a quick meaning of what that is, that would be cool. In Gita, Krishna has told us about different yogas, karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, and told Arjuna if he was unable to do kind of yoga. Oh, this is like a story.
Hey, hello, you there? Hey,
Yeah.
Adnan said, all religion. He said he means all. He said the Dharma Salva. I think that's what he's answering. He says all religions are true, or that all religions can be true. Hey, the
Mm,
Dalai Lama. I mean, I wouldn't say it like that. I wouldn't go as far as say that or say it like that. But I think the way the Dalai Lama expressed what he expressed is like it was just good. He expressed that no matter what, we all in a learning journey, and let's learn. And the more we learn, the better we're gonna be anyway. You know what I'm saying? Did are you getting that same sentiment, Jen? Are you getting that same sentiment? Let's learn
yeah,
or let's evolve, and the more we evolve, the more our race evolves. Regardless, we're gonna, no matter what, we have to evolve. So let's just evolve, and let's call it that, or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm trying to say? That's kind of what he said, right?
I think that's what it's trying to say.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. So I think sometimes we have, even though we're talking about two religions and we compare them as religions, we have to base we have to base this talk not on religion, because then we get stuck in dogma. We have to base it on ethics and philosophy. You know what I'm trying to say? In a way, if that makes sense. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like we have to have a new language. It's like we're using religion to make a new language of ethics and philosophy that transcends um divisions in our identity, whatever these divisions in our identity might be. And I'm not saying that it should negate the divisions of an identity. Even the Dalai Lama said, do not negate the different identities, but let's come together with a common language. Remember how they began in the forward? They said it started from a common word, and then they went to common ground. Remember, because the common word was between the first
And
initiative between the Christians,
Christians.
yeah, the
Yeah,
Christians, yeah. But so
yeah,
that's the same thing. So I'm trying to say is that it's the same sentiment. Let's come to a common word. Let's come to a common word, even if you're not Christian, even no matter who you are in humanity. Let's develop a common language of ethics and of ethics and morality, so we could so we can communicate to each other and inform each other, so we could so we could take due notice, so we can notify each other,
hmm
so we can govern ourselves accordingly. You know what I'm saying? Let let
yeah,
let let, let
exactly.
let's all of us, so let's all get put on notice. Let's all get put on notice, so we could do what we're supposed to do for the world.
Right. That's what religions are supposed to be about. Like, that's what you're supposed to be here to help people and help humanity, not make it worse. People need to stop making it worse. But that's the
And,
whole point.
and then said even if we have a bad teacher, right? A true spiritual student can can make progress, right? And,
Mhm.
and I agree with that because you could even learn from mistakes. You know what I'm saying? In other words, you could even learn from mistakes. Mistakes can teach you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of
If you have a
course.
teacher and he's the biggest mess up, but if you're a true spiritual seeker and all you do is see how he messes up, you can learn from his mistakes.
Right, of
You can
course.
learn from both good and bad. Oh yeah, both good. Okay, in other words, both good and bad are learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what God gives you, both good and bad. Both good and bad are learning. It's all learning.
Yeah, you have to look at them. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You could always find something out of the bad, for
Yep,
sure.
yep.
Let me stop sharing this. Yeah, so that was good, man.
Yeah, that was great. That was great.
So we're gonna do
Tuesday.
part
Four.
4. Jeez, part 4 on Tuesday. Yep,
Yep.
yep. Part 4 on Tuesday. What time? 9 o'clock or
To be safe, it's at 9:30. 9:30. 9:30.
9:30?
Nine
All
thirty
right,
Eastern time on Tuesday.
Tuesday at 9:30. Yep.
Everybody, Tuesday 9:30. Let's just get it, everybody.
Yeah, man. I'm liking it, man. I think it's going good.
Yeah, the Dalai Lama saved the day. He saved the day.
He wrote a lot of books. Like he's written a ton of books. I listened to one book on an audio book. It's like the universe in one atom, and he did a whole thing with like some quantum scientists, and it was kind of way above my head. I was like, okay. I tried to like explain that. I don't know, but there's evidently a lot of like things that align with like particle science and whatever, and yeah, it was pretty interesting, but again, like I didn't retain much of it because a lot of it went over my head. But he's written a ton of books, and it's like one of his like religious harmony is like basically his life mission. He's done tons of like talks with people from different faiths, like his whole career, basically.
Yeah, I know, I
So it's
know.
cool. It's cool.
Man, great. And then said, Mr. Pelu, would you say anyone, even if they have a bad teacher or path, can achieve Fana Jen? Yeah, maybe. I
What
mean,
is
maybe.
fana again?
Just the breaking. It basically means extinction, it means more than that. It means like death, but it means like you breaking the life of this world. It's a breaking
Passing
point.
away, ceasing to exist, or annihilation.
Yeah, it's annihilation, but it's like ego annihilation. It's like switching, but you don't really lose your identity because you switch lives.
So that would be anatta, right? Anatta.
I don't know what anatta is. What's anatta? You explain that to me. What's anatta?
That means like the annihilate, like not annihilation, but like you realize non-self. Like you realize that nothing is you. Like your identity. Like your identity does it cease to exist? It doesn't.
Nah, but us it doesn't cease to
Attached to
exist.
it.
For us is realize our total dependency. It's almost like we're living with God. It gives us a decision called Baka Allah, meaning to live with God. It gives us a condition.
Mm.
Let me give you a definition of Baka Allah. Let me give you a definition. Like Baka, it leads us to Baka. It leads us to
I guess maybe I don't know. Anand, do you think fana is more nibbana or more anatta or natman?
You see, look, okay, this is what leads. See, finale is a backup. Balaka literally means subsistence or permanence, and it describes a particular state of life with God, through God, in God, and for God. That's what
Mm.
Fana. Fana is the threshold that pushes into the state of Baka. Baka again, it means a state of life that you're with God, through God, in God, and for God.
Oh yeah, 31. Yeah, I don't know. That's
But you know, because
confusing to me.
not because Islam is very theistic. You know what I'm trying to say? So you always got to throw in Islam has a very theocentric or very personal God mindset. So it always adds. You know what I'm trying to say? Because Islam's thing is not getting rid of ego; it's making it totally sublimating yourself to God's will. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like your ego becomes God's vessel,
Mm.
and for now, it's letting go of your personal opinion. But you're not gone. It's like a transformation. It's like you transform. It's like you transcend. You transcend your it's like you transcend your ego, but you don't lose your identity. It's like you go into your real identity. It's like you go into a real. It's like you have no ego. It's like an identity without an ego. It's like having an identity without an ego. Is a transcendence. Is the point in which you transcend your ego, despite your identity, while still having while despite your identity, or even in identity, you transcend your ego, even inside your identity. So
Mm.
your identity becomes different. You transcend your ego even in your identity.
Right, right. No, I hear
Yep.
you. I hear you. All right. Ugh. I think that'd probably be, yeah, it's got to be like non self similar.
Yeah. It's probably comparable, but there's two
Yeah,
different theologies. You know what I'm saying? It's comparable, probably. It's compare. Yeah, it is It's comparable, but it's different outlooks. It's different worldviews, different theologies, different creeds, but they're comparable.
right, right.
It might not even be even if even if using the word similar is debatable, we can still say it's comparable.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I do, man. All right. Well, if no one wants to jump on, I think it's a good place to wrap it up
No, it's a good time to wrap. It's a good time to wrap it
tomorrow.
up. We're almost at
Yeah.
the point anyway. If anybody wants to make one last comment, for forever say it now, forever hold your peace. You want to come on and say something? Come on, right this second and say something right this second. If you don't come on in 1 minute in 30 seconds, we're just shutting it down. Okay,
Yeah.
actually, we're gonna shut it down now. All right, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Pelu. It's been a great night.
Great
Part
night,
three
yeah.
went well. We'll have part four Tuesday at
Yep.
9:30
9:30
p.m.
Eastern Time, USA.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Alrighty, pick up everyone that came
everybody
through.
like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe, and share this or pass this around. We did an education. This out of all the lives. I'm not saying that we're so much better, but this is a really heartfelt, a really sincere, educational, philosophical production. Send it to your people because it means a lot that we're making this, and I think we're doing a good thing. And share it and spread the and spread the conversation. Make the conversation grow past just us two. You know what I'm saying? Spread this around.
Yeah, Shay.
We want to foster something. We want to foster ethical humanitarian discourse. So spread this, foster it. If you gained anything from us, thank you. We appreciate being here. I of course thank the God Almighty who made me to be able to articulate the things I'm articulating to you, and let's just come together and spread enlightenment and good feelings and loving kindness between each other. So thank you everybody
Facts.
for coming out. Spread the love.
Thanks. Alright, pick up everyone. Take care. Have a good night.